Chapter 310, Battle Xiao Junyao. After the drawing of lots, the judge's voice sounded, Xiao Junyao vs Lu Mu Yan, Chu Han obtains a bye. Si Nan vs Yi Qing Han, Lu Oli has a bye. After his voice fell, Lu Mu Yan got up and pushed open the stone gate in front of her. At this time, Xiao Junyao was already standing on the battle platform and looked at her with a smile. She tapped her toes and jumped onto the stage. Young Miss Lu, we indeed meet again. Xiao Junyao's expression wasn't at all surprised, as if he had long expected it. Lu Mu Yan smiled lightly and said, Young Master Xiao, how are you? Allow Mu Yan to experience young Master Xiao's skills today. She had hoped to draw and compete against Xiao Junyao before, mainly because she was very curious about the psychic constitution and wanted to see it in person. Ha, this one Xiao has long wanted to exchange pointers with young Miss Lu. Xiao Junyao laughed heartily. This time, there was still an elderly man sitting on the pillar. He looked at the two of them expressionlessly and said, the battle starts now. The rules are the same as before. After he finished speaking, Xiao Junyao cupped his hands and bowed towards Lu Mu Yan, young Miss Lu, please. All right. The two of them mobilized the elemental energy in their bodies. Xiao Junyao took out a brush, drew a few Taoist seals in the air, splashed ink at will, and a few characters carrying elemental energy spun out and shot straight at Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan's eyes flashed slightly in surprise. She didn't expect Xiao Junyao to be a Confucian cultivator one. The elemental energy characters he condensed carried an aura of righteousness. Such methods were very rare in this continent, while they belonged to a separate method of cultivation in the immortal cultivation world. Lu Mu Yan took a step back. She waved her hands, like fluttering butterfly wings, as she formed seals, and the speed was so fast that one couldn't see her movements clearly. Then jade-colored runes emerged from her body, forming a rune belt that tightly bound those words in mid-air, making them unable to advance even half a step. Xiao Junyao still had a gentle, elegant smile on his face. He pointed his two fingers towards the brush. The brush kept splashing ink mid-air, and ink-colored strokes freely combined, finally forming a realistic landscape painting that was faintly visible in the air. The majestic mountain in the painting immediately seemed to come alive. After he inserted elemental energy, it flew out of the painting and landed, hovering on top of Lu Mu Yan's head. Seeing that he used the Confucian Taoism so skillfully, Lu Mu Yan understood what Mo Yan said before, that there was no bottleneck for those with the psychic constitution when learning skills. Although Xiao Junyao's Confucius Taoist skills wasn't at the great achievement realm, but he could still use it to such an extent at such an age. In the immortal cultivation world, one must at least be a core formation stage cultivator to be able to work it like this. Her eyes were sparkling bright, with a smile of admiration on her lips. A green flute appeared in her hand. She placed the emerald, green flute on her lips and blew it gently. A melodious and cheerful tune jumped out of the flute, and the mountain that had fallen above her head danced with the flute. The flowers and trees in the landscape painting also swayed to the rhythm of the flute, as if they were dancing cheerfully. Only then did Xiao Junyao's expression change. He naturally heard that the flute had a bewitching effect. He almost fell into that kind of joy just now. If he hadn't carried that treasure on him, he might have lost. The sword masters in front of the crystal wall were also stunned. Is this really a battle? Why do I feel like they're competing in arts battles of the zither, chess, poems, and paintings? Yeah. Lu Mu Yan even knows sonic wave attacks. Her talent is too heaven-defying. Xiao Junyao's most powerful path of Confucianism seems to be suffering in her hands. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. On the battlefield, Xiao Junyao's gaze changed. As if he had made a decision, he kept forming seals before his chest and chanted. Immediately, he poured all his elemental energy into the brush that was still swaying in the air. The brush flickered instantly, the style of painting changed, and wind blades were drawn from under his brush one after another, breaking through the air towards her. The wind blade was not like ordinary sword aura wind blades, but instead, it possessed incomparable frost and cold. If the brush didn't stop, the wind blade would continue. Then the brush hooked, and the cold wind blew and howled. It didn't appear like a picture at all, as it all condensed into a solid form. The dual attributes of wind and ice. Indeed really good, but they're not enough. Lu Mu Yen chuckled, unbridled. The style of tune changed, and a song reminding one of shining spears and armored horses at war poured out of the flute. The ink painting that danced in the air also gradually disappeared on this battle platform with the change of style, without a trace. Then she put away the flute in her hand, and 10 golden lights flashed out from her sleeve, blocking her front directly. When the wind blade was mixed with the cold wind and attacked, she formed a few Taoist seals and quickly inserted them into the flying swords. The 10 flying swords hummed as if they were alive and shot out in an instant, continuously dancing in mid-air, its speed rising and rising, until a golden light flickered, as if the flying swords grew golden wings, fluttering about. The 10 golden swords' rotation rapidly increased and finally turned into 100 golden butterflies, fluttering their wings, and headed towards the wind blades. The two collided, and for a moment, neither gave in, but at this time, Lu Mu Yen moved. She used flash steps, her figure continuously flickering on the battle stage, then she struck Xiao Junyao with her palm one after another. Xiao Junyao's combat power in Taoism was very strong, but his physical strength was far from Lu Mu Yan's. While he had to control the brush to create wind blades, he had to avoid Lu Mu Yan's palm wind, which caused him extreme misery. He had long expected that Lu Mu Yan wasn't simple, but he didn't expect her to have so many tricks. These tricks she played against him today had never been shown at all, which made him unable to guard against her. Lu Mu Yan's mental energy was very strong, and it was nothing to split her focus into 3. She constantly flashed back and forth around Xiao Junyao using her flash steps. Each time Xiao Junyao used his mental energy to detect her figure, take out his long sword, and slash towards it, he only ever cut past numerous afterimages. Suddenly, Xiao Junyao felt a strong aura approaching from behind him. He knew that if he spun around, it would be an immediate defeat. He hurriedly shifted his feet to the side, but a jade-colored rune belt unexpectedly emerged from beneath his feet, tightly binding them. Pu! A palm struck him, and after Xiao Junyao was struck, the jade belt around his feet loosened. He retreated back more than a dozen meters, but when he was just about to fall off the battle platform, he finished pinching the seals, and an ice wall suddenly appeared behind him to block his body. Lu Mu Yen wasn't disappointed. Xiao Junyao's ice attribute element comprehension had clearly arrived at the bottleneck to the great achievement realm and was much stronger than He Su Feng. She stretched out a hand and tapped towards the ice wall Xiao Junyao slammed into. Fireballs the size of washbasins fell heavily, one after another, without any rest. The fireballs smashed the ice wall and melted it into water vapor while Xiao Junyao dodged the fireballs falling from above his head clumsily and in a sorry state. At this time, the golden butterflies fluttered their wings even quicker, tossing themselves towards the cold wind blades to disperse them. Xiao Junyao had already exhausted a lot of elemental energy and it became difficult to continue to control the brush right now. Lu Mu Yen seized the opportunity, smiled, put her hands together, then separated them again. Suddenly, a vine made of wood elemental energy condensation emerged from beneath the stage and quickly wrapped around Xiao Junyao's feet, pulling hard. Xiao Junyao, who was on the edge of the stage, dodging the attacking fireballs and golden butterflies in a sorry state, was taken by surprise and tugged by the vine, falling directly off the battle stage. One guess Confucius existed in their world too, haha. I wanted to use the word scholar because the word used here has the archaic meaning of scholar. However, in the part where I translated it as Confucius Taoism, the actual Chinese is, from my understanding, is only related to Confucius and should have been the author's intent. I could be wrong, but I'll be sticking with Confucius. Chapter 311, Begin a bet. As Xiao Junyao was dodging Lu Mu Yan's variety of attacks, an unexpected vine suddenly entangled his feet. He couldn't avoid it in time and was pulled, landing heavily below the battle platform. The elderly man on the pillar gave Lu Mu Yan a thoughtful look and announced the result: Lu Mu Yan wins, entering the final round. The mechanical voice immediately resounded in the building, Lu Mu Yen wins. On another battle platform, Luo Yi and Chu Han won. When hearing this sound, couldn't help but be surprised. Lu Mu Yen actually beat Xiao Junyao. Chu Han looked at the silver-clothed, brocade man with a grim expression, and a faint smile rose on his stern face. Since they've already decided the winner, then there's no need to delay here. Take out your all to fight me at your strongest. All right. Luo Yi's unhurried voice was very pleasant. After watching the battle between Lu Mu Yen and Xiao Junyao, the sword masters in front of the crystal wall were once again dumbfounded. He lost just like that. One of Xiao Junyao's team members said in disbelief. This is too unexpected. Lu Mu Yen can defeat Xiao Junyao. I feel so unreal right now. One of them touched his chest and said. Lu Mu Yan's various tricks and methods are too many. Xiao Junyao just couldn't guard against it at all. Someone complained. Having so many tricks and methods is because Lu Mu Yen has that ability. If it were you all, can you make Xiao Junyao be in such a sorry state? People who had already developed admiration for Lu Mu Yen retorted. That's right, Xiao Junyao didn't lose wrongfully. What do you mean? Didn't you see that from the very beginning, the battle situation was all under Lu Mu Yan's control? The more Xiao Junyao fought, the more of a sorry state he's in, but Lu Mu Yan's still so calm like the wind and clouds. Even if he didn't lose now, as time goes by, his elemental energy wouldn't be able to support the consumption from his magic tool, and had inevitably be knocked down by Lu Mu Yen. An elite sword master of a superpower kingdom said slowly. You really can't tell just by looking. Lu Mu Yen, this woman, hides so deeply. Many people sighed within. Lu Mu Yen hides deeply, and the one named Chu Han hides even more deeply. Look, Luo Yi's injured by him. Luo Yi actually lost. Just what's Chu Han's background? He hasn't even pulled out his giant sword on his back. The biggest dark horse this year is probably Chu Han. There'll be an interesting show to watch when Lu Mu Yen meets Chu Han. When these two dark horses collide, who do you think will win? Naturally Chu Han. Don't you see that he acts cleanly and decisively in each battle, and his strength hasn't even been fully exerted. He's ruthless and accurate in dealing with each opponent. Such an opponent is too scary. I'm also optimistic about Chu Han. Under absolute strength, all kinds of tricks may not be effective. I'm actually more optimistic about Lu Mu Yen. After all, she's always been able to amaze us since the beginning of this competition space. Chu Han has been firmly first place since the first round. To say that he's also amazing isn't too much either. He just doesn't have as much gossip as Lu Mu Yen, and his reputation isn't as loud as hers either. After Luo Yi lost to Chu Han, the sword masters present were discussing who would win the match between Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han. One of the sword masters who loved to gamble opened a bet and 2/3 of the people bought Chu Han's win. Although Lu Mu Bai and the others didn't like to gamble, but they believed in Lu Mu Yen, so they bet all their belongings down on her. Watching the group of people betting in the big room, the personnel of the organizers who were guarding all around were also itching. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. There were also small bets in private, and most of them were betting on Chu Han winning. In fact, most people thinking that Chu Han would win was also justified. First, Chu Han's cultivation base was at advanced phase sword sovereign. Lu Mu Yen was an advanced phase sword monarch. He was an entire stage higher than her. Second, Chu Han was vigorous and resolute in his previous battles. He had few tricks, but were all extremely effective, with huge momentum, and his attacks were very ruthless. Meanwhile, Lu Mu Yen, despite all her various tricks, always gave people a feeling that her true strength wasn't that good, and she just didn't win as thrillingly perilous. After all, most of the sword masters present were used to fighting with magic tools and elemental energy. Layers after layers of means like Lu Mu Yan's couldn't be played out by them at all. Therefore, deep-rooted in their hearts, they all believed that Chu Han's fighting style was the embodiment of true strength. Lu Mu Yan's methods, short-term, may be successful, but once others were prepared for it, it would be difficult to win using them. Tomorrow, Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han will fight. The other two groups will fight first. The referee's voice sounded timely. Although the match was delayed until the next day, but Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han weren't allowed to leave their rooms. After the two of them fought, they started to adjust their status after taking pills. On the same day, the last 5 in the rankings were also decided, but not many people paid attention to it. Si Nan and the others left the sealed rooms after their matches and waited with the others to watch the last match on the second day. Of course, as Lu Mu Yan's admirers or friends, they naturally spent a lot of money to bet that Lu Mu Yan would win. First, they just felt that Lu Mu Yan wouldn't lose so easily. If they bet on her, she had more than half of the possibility of winning. Right now, the odds were 1 to 5, if they won, then their winnings would flip 5-fold. Second, if Lu Mu Yan, that petty and sly woman, came out and found that they bet on Chu Han instead of her, she would definitely beat them up one by one. What treatment, and buying pills after that, they definitely would all just become imaginary. In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects weren't calm anymore. Who would have thought, who would have thought? Lu Mu Yan and Chu Han would actually be the last to compete for first place. An elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Junyao was already an official pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, and they always had high hopes for him. The original certainty of him entering the top 3 just flew away like this. In the competition for the 3rd place, Luo Yi defeated Xiao Junyao too, which was acceptable, but the sudden appearance of Chu Han and Lu Mu Yan caught them by surprise. Ha, I've already said that this girl, Lu Mu Yan, would definitely amaze and shock everyone, but you old things didn't believe me. The strong and sturdy elder of the 8 Extremes sect laughed, then looked askance at the elders present. Humph, what are you being so smug for? Even if Lu Mu Yan wins the championship, she still won't be your 8 Extreme sect's pupil. The vast mountain sect's elder snorted coldly. Between Chu Han and Lu Mu Yan, he was still more optimistic about Chu Han. Compared to Lu Mu Yan, Chu Han was the sword master that wanted to spend the larger effort trying to win over. Even if Lu Mu Yan doesn't choose the 8 Extreme sect, she wouldn't choose your sect that only knows how to use brute force. The elder of the 8 Extreme sect and the elder of the Vast Mountain sect hadn't liked each other for a long time. So don't argue anymore. Lu Mu Yan, a woman, just used the wood attribute elemental energy. She's most suitable to come to our medicine sect to learn alchemy. Enough. As for the belonging of Lu Mu Yan and Chu Han, they must have already made a choice in their hearts. No matter how much you quarrel, it's useless. Seeing that the elders of the several major sects were arguing about the candidates again, the wise elder from the Heavenly Secret Palace furrowed his brows slightly to stop them. Not only in the Heavenly Secret Palace, but even among the 6 major sects, he was an extremely prestigious existence, so after he opened his mouth, the elders of each sect no longer quarreled about snatching people. Humph, how Shan old man, do you dare to gamble with me? The elder of the 8 Extremes sect couldn't help but provoke the elder of the Vast Mountain sect when he saw that the juniors started gambling. See. I'm pretty sure Chu Han was meant to have had a bye, but now he's battling Luo Yi so, lol. I'm pretty sure author made a slight mistake. XD2 seems like author corrected it here hahaha. Chapter 312, Battle Chu Han. The elders of the 5 other sects here obviously didn't expect that the elder of the 8 Extremes sect would open his mouth to provoke, and their eyes revealed a look of watching a good show. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect sneered, how should we bet? As if he'd be afraid of this damned old man from the 8 Extremes sect. Chu Han's strength wasn't as simple as he revealed in the competition just now. Even if Lu Mu Yan had some ability, she definitely wouldn't win. I bet that Lu Mu Yan wins. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect said without hesitation, didn't you want my peak quality beast blood for a long time? If I lose to you, it'll be yours. Alright. I'll bet Chu Han wins. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect was also unequivocal, if you win, I'll give you the advanced level array chart I obtained before. It's a deal. Both of them were satisfied with the bet and immediately high-fived to sign off the contract. Do you all also want to make a bet? The elder of the 8 extremes sect turned his eyes and looked at the elders of the other sects with a smile. The elders of the other sects were also interested, but as representatives of their own sects, it was obviously inappropriate to learn from the juniors and gather together to start betting. They weren't as shameless as these two people, so they all refused. A day passed in a hurry, and the day only just lit up when the voice of the judge sounded in the building. Now, the last battle will begin. Rules as usual. Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han opened their closed eyes respectively, got up, and walked into the last room. The two stepped onto the stage at the same time, and only then did Lu Mu Yen raise her head to scrutinize Chu Han, this powerful opponent. He was dressed in an entirely black outfit, his facial features were angular and cold, and there was a storm hidden in his dark eyes, but he possessed a wild and uninhibited temperament on him. He was like a king who had been at the top for many years. He was like an eagle that lurked in the dark night, with a powerful momentum, waiting for an opportunity to soar into the sky. Chu Han was definitely the strongest person she had ever met in the competition space. While Lu Mu Yen was scrutinizing Chu Han was also blatantly scrutinizing her. She had a stunning appearance, and a carefree, otherworldly temperament, as well as an arrogant uninhibitedness that carried a domineering disposition melded well together. This sort of contradiction was very attractive. This woman seemed to be covered by a veil, looming, easily swaying people's hearts, and one couldn't help but want to lift the veil in person. This one is Chu Han. Chu Han's voice was indifferent and coldly proud. Lu Mu Yen smiled faintly, her voice clear. Lu Mu Yen. You are the opponent I most wanted to meet in this space. Use all your strength to fight me. A battle intent rose in Chu Han's eyes slowly. Lu Mu Yen's jet-black eyes were dotted with stars, her fighting intent rising, and her red lips parted lightly. All right. She believed that today's battle with Chu Han would be a hearty fight. The two of them, who were both filled with fighting intent, didn't notice that the man who was shrouded in black mist in the pendant on Lu Mu Yan's neck, suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the Chu Han with a gaze of unknown emotions, and after a while, he closed his eyes again, and the black mist churned to cover his entire figure. The battle begins. Whichever side falls off the stage or admits defeat, the opponent will win the championship in this Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony. This time, the elderly man sitting cross-legged on the stone pillar was precisely the main judge. He glanced at the two of them lightly and announced the start. Chu Han moved first. His entire body was filled with explosive power, and he ran towards Lu Mu Yen quickly, with a faint layer of black flames covering his hands. When he approached, he raised his fist and bombarded Lu Mu Yen with punches one after another. Lu Mu Yen took a few steps back and used flash steps to dodge quickly, her eyes filled with interest, a bit interesting. Unexpectedly, Chu Han was also a body cultivator with a spirit flame. Her blood began to boil, and the strong fighting intent filled every bit of her body. Another punch slammed down, and Lu Mu Yen spun and met it with her punch. Bang bang. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Fists collided with fists, and there were crisp sounds on the battle platform. Refreshing. Again. A flash of happiness appeared on Chu Han's cold face. It had been a long time since he fought with his fists like this, and he liked the impact of the power. Lu Mu Yen was also a little bit similar to Chu Han in this regard. The figures of the two flickered back and forth around the entire battle platform, and every time they appeared, there would be a collision of fists. Boom boom. The two fists fought for no less than hundreds of rounds. Aside for the stone pillar on which the judge sat cross-legged, the other three were actually affected by the force of the bombardments and cracked countless crevices. There was a constantly crackling sound in the space, and the scalp of the people watching grew numb. The two of them are so violent. A sword master watching the battle by the crystal wall couldn't help but click their tongue in admiration. The others also shrank their necks. Bombarding with their bodies with such intensity, if one weren't tough enough, they would have definitely long been killed. They had long heard that Lu Mu Yen sometimes fought very violently, and she spoke directly with her fists when fighting demonic beasts, but they never thought that her force would be this powerful. Of course, Chu Han was also very violent. He didn't show this kind of close-quarters combat when he fought with others before. Judging from the expressions on the faces of the two they occasionally revealed, they had met their match, and their fighting spirit was high. Their bodies are as tough as Tier 7 demonic beasts. I think that's close. Chu Han's a man, so liking such a way of battle is indeed gallant, but how can Lu Mu Yen, a woman, like this kind of fighting style? Luo Li glanced at the person who spoke. Lu Mu Yen is also very gallant. At least she's more comfortable to look at than those delicate women who only hide behind men. This was in the eyes of the lover, his beloved was a beauty. Lu Mu Yan's violent behavior indeed didn't look crude. In fact, when the two bombarded each other, they couldn't help but feel their blood boil too. But whoever took her home to marry sure would have some things to deal with. With one wrong, wouldn't they be served with a fist? Just thinking about it made them unable to resist shuddering. Of course, many people also appreciated her toughness. After all, violent and wild beauties were also very popular on this continent. The two bombarded each other for hundreds of more rounds and the battle platform actually began to feel shaky. Seeing this, the judge on the pillar patted the pillar beneath him and a ray of light flew out. The 3 stone pillars that were cracked began to heal and the battle platform was supported once again. Pu. The final punch they threw out at each other struck the other's shoulders, and the two of them stepped back together, spraying out a mouthful of blood. The two waved their fists and palms, and they used all kinds of close-quarters combat skills, but they couldn't directly defeat the other party. We won't be able to tell the winner until dawn. I heard that you're good at swordsmanship. How about we compete with swords? Chu Han reached out and wiped the blood from his lips, his whole body aroused with fighting intent. The last time in the melee fight with demonic beasts, he saw Lu Mu Yen fight close-quarters combat, but he didn't expect her physical strength and fighting skills to be no weaker than his, and was even better than him in terms of her footwork. If it weren't for the fact that he had just absorbed and refined a bottle of advanced-level beast blood before the finals and his physique had been further improved, he probably would have been defeated in the direct bombardment just now. Lu Mu Yen wiped the blood from the corners of her lips, appearing happy. I'll accompany you to the end. It was rare to meet an opponent who could match her. How could she not fight with all her heart? She didn't think at first that Chu Han wasn't only just a body cultivator, but also a sword cultivator. She hadn't yet used that set of sword techniques that she had mastered from that earth-rank sword skill. Today, it was perfect to test it out on Chu Han. Chapter 313, completely pissed off, the two of them unanimously removed the spirit flames covering their hands and took a few steps back each. Chu Han didn't pull out the giant sword he was carrying, but with a thought, a silver-white longsword was held in his hand and there was a layer of Sanskrit flowing around the sword. Lu Mu Yen beckoned with a wave of her hand, and a golden longsword fell into her hand with a soft hum, a feeling of unity between human and sword. They're going to sword fight. One of the sword masters watching by the crystal wall exclaimed. Could they attack our self-esteem any more than this? These two aren't only body cultivators, but also sword cultivators. Can't they let us elites of our own kingdoms live a bit? One person couldn't help but shout. They're also array masters and smiths. Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death. Who's a smith? Lu Mu Yen was an array master, that they knew. Of course it's Chu Han. My paternal grandfather is the elder of the outer pavilion of the smithing pavilion. According to him, Chu Han has already obtained the badge of a grade 3 smith. Lu Mu Yen is also a grade 3 array master. It seems their talents are similar. They're similar, but it's not like we can compare. Look, they're starting. On the platform, snowflakes filled the sky. 2 figures, one black and one purple, stood independently. Each time the snowflakes fell on the sides of the two, they would automatically separate without sticking to their clothes. Lu Mu Yan's eyes revealed a slight look of surprise. Chu Han's ice elemental energy attribute had also reached the great achievement realm. Chu Han lifted his silver longsword, and layers of water rushed towards her. The sword aura condensed into countless water waves and drowned Lu Muyan's entire body. Immediately, the blue water waves quickly froze into ice beneath the swing of the silver longsword. Lu Muyan stood quietly, her beautiful face, through the whitened ice statue, was like an otherworldly female celestial. What? Lu Muyan was trapped by Chu Han as an ice sculpture with just one move. The people in the hall couldn't help but feel nervous. Lu Muyan was trapped, yet they felt that it wouldn't end that easily. Lu Mubai and the others all revealed incomparable worry in their eyes. Chu Han's ice elemental energy attribute had obviously reached great achievement, and he had many means. Lu Muyan's cultivation base was one entire stage beneath his and was her biggest weakness. She wouldn't just lose like this, right? Right when everyone was confused, they only heard a crack from the ice sculpture. The ice enveloping Lu Muyan broke inch by inch, then a green vine emerged from her feet. After bursting the frost open, the green vine gradually extended and grew with luxuriant branches and leaves. The plants under the ground emerged and grew against the wind and snow. After a few breaths of time, the green plants bloomed with large flowers, fresh and beautiful, forming a stunning scenery in the fluttering wind and snow. Lu Muyan's wood attribute elemental energy actually also reached the great achievement realm, heavens. Someone in the hall's eyes widened and couldn't resist shouting in shock. Chu Han's pupils shrank. He knew that Lu Muyan had the fire and metal elemental energy attribute. After guessing that she was an alchemist, he also thought that she could also comprehend the wood attribute elemental energy. However, he had never imagined that although her wood attribute elemental energy wasn't as strong as her fire attribute, but it had also reached the great achievement realm. Such talent was exceptionally rare. In the central castle, the elder of the medicine sect suddenly stood up and stared at the battle platform intently. Lu Muyan not only had the dual talent of fire and wood attributes, but also comprehended both until the great achievement realm. Such aptitude could be compared with that genius of the medicine sect. If she concentrated on cultivating alchemy, then it wasn't impossible to be promoted to a grade 6 alchemist in the future. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyan smiled slightly, and the golden longsword slipped from her hand, spun in mid-air, then turned into countless golden butterflies and landed atop the bright flowers. The butterflies fluttered their wings with the swaying of the flowers in the wind and snow, and a little bit of dark green powder fanned out from the butterflies' wings. After a while, the originally beautiful scenery changed instantly. The room filled with snowflakes gradually turned black, and finally turned into droplets of black water that fell to the ground. Clusters of flames drilled out from the ground, instantly burning, and vaporizing them. Chu Han's silver longsword shone with a cold light, like a silver dragon dancing, roaring out, blasting out a series of icy hurricanes at the flowers and butterflies. The flowers were blown up and down, and soon a thick layer of frost formed. The butterflies fluttered their wings, turning into tiny golden specks. Suddenly, behind Chu Han, a golden longsword slashed down from the air, its sword aura breaking through the air with astonishing power. Chu Han was startled and waved his silver longsword to greet it. Clang! The golden sword and silver sword interlaced, creating a sharp sound. Crack! An astonishing scene appeared. After the silver longsword in Chu Han's hand clashed against the golden longsword, it quickly lost its luster in an astonishing manner as if breaking rotting wood, and finally cracks formed inch by inch on the sword. The mysterious Sanskrit light wound around the silver sword was covered in a layer of dark green powder, and the sword lost its liveliness. Lu Muyan, from the moment you used the wood attribute elemental energy condensation, you've already planned to use poisonous powder to corrode my silver sword, right? Chu Han's eyes were grim as he gripped the silver sword that had lost complete connection with him, then spoke slowly. Lu Muyan snapped her fingers, and the golden sword turned into a golden butterfly and landed on her shoulder, flapping its wings, lifelike. The sword body transformation was precisely the sword technique that she had learnt through mastering a set in that earth rank sword skill. Clever. When she was in the spiritual world, she majored in the cultivation of the dual elements of wood and fire. In addition, alchemists required those two attributes. In the continuous upgrade of her alchemy, she naturally had a deeper understanding of the wood attribute. The green mist sea in her dantian had the effect of bringing forth spring to withered trees, so the wood attribute entered the great achievement realm without much tough practice and insight. Her pill flame also refined many highly poisonous fusions, so what she used her wood attribute elemental energy condensation to make could all be dyed with poison. After she refined the venom sac of that peak phase tier 7 snake demon last time, the poison in the pill flame had also mutated, and it could corrode magic tools beneath Saint Treasure, so that's why she revealed her talent in the wood attribute and condensed plants. The butterflies transformed from the sword body was naturally stained with that kind of corrosive poison too. After Chu Han pulled out his sword, it shattered into gold powder and adhered to the silver sword. Of course, the poison wouldn't cause any corrosion damage to her natal magic tool. Lu Mu Yen, I really underestimated you. Chu Han put away the silver long sword that had been mostly destroyed, and a nameless anger rose from his chest. Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly, you're a smith, I believe you can re-refine the silver longsword. With my corrosive poisonous power, maybe you might have unexpected gains. I also gave you this fortuitous opportunity because I fought a hearty battle with you before. Don't misunderstand my kindness. She added with a half-smile. If Chu Han re-sacrifices the sword body with the poison, the quality of the sword would definitely be improved by one level, and it may even produce unexpected effects. The corner of Chu Han's mouth twitched. She was doing this for him. He spent 5 years refining this silver sword through blood and sweat. Now that most of it had been destroyed, it would take him at least another half a year to re-refine it. Of course, the benefits she said did exist, and it made him interested, so when the sword was destroyed, he was only angered, but didn't have the urge to kill. This woman really had the ability to piss people off but not need to pay for it with her life. Chapter 314, Deep Sea Profound Ice Iron. The sword fight between Chu Han and Lu Mu Yen surprised and shocked the audience. In the central castle, the elders of the sword sect stared at the two of them fixedly. A smile rose on his originally serious expressions. Good seedlings. He decided inwardly that no matter what, he would win the two of them over into the sword sect after the finals. Others might not be able to understand, but when they were using sword skills, the sword realm that was naturally triggered by the two wasn't something that ordinary sword cultivators would comprehend. The elders of the other sects glanced at him. They naturally knew whether they were good seedlings or not, he didn't need to remind them. However, because of the previous warning from the elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace, this time, the elders didn't quarrel over the matter of the two, but secretly had their own plans. With the talent that Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han were revealing now, if they wanted to get them into the sect, then they would have to increase their stakes. On the battle platform, Chu Han's long and slim eyes narrowed and said, Lu Mu Yen, being able to force me to use Yin Feng, you are indeed very good. Yin Feng? Is that the giant sword on your back? Lu Mu Yen could hear that Chu Han bore slight emotion towards the name Yin Feng. Yes. I haven't used it for 3 years. In the competition space, you're the first to make it reappear. Chu Han nodded. Lu Mu Yen chuckled, then isn't it a great honor for me? The giant sword on Chu Han's back was extraordinary, that was her first impression after seeing Chu Han. Lu Mu Yen, I will use my all, and I hope you also don't hold back any longer. Chu Han pulled out the giant sword from its scabbard, and an aura of deep coldness instantly spread across the entire battle platform. All right. Lu Mu Yen replied decisively. She would respect an opponent like Chu Han. If he could really force out her trump cards, then she would reveal it in front of everyone. After Chu Han drew his sword. A sword master watching the battle turned pale with fright and shouted, Deep Sea Profound Ice Iron. No wonder he didn't use this sword easily. So it turns out that his sword is made of Deep Sea Profound Ice Iron. Someone stared at Chu Han's black giant sword that glowed with a cold light fiercely. Luo Yi smiled bitterly, so he still had such a means. Big brother, will Lu Mu Yen lose? Luo Li asked anxiously. From what can be seen, she and Chu Han are comparable in strength. But it's not easy to infer after Chu Han uses his giant sword made of deep-sea profound ice iron. After all, towards Chu Han, who cultivates ice attribute skills, the weapon can not only increase his elemental energy attribute, but his sword and body could also unify. Luo Yi said calmly. The grade of the deep-sea profound ice iron was no worse than Lu Mu Yan's longsword made from heavenly frost golden crystal, and in fact, it was even better in terms of the amplification effect. After all, Lu Mu Yan's longsword was the metal attribute, but she was at great achievement in both fire and wood attributes. Naturally, the amplification effect was relatively small, and couldn't exert its strongest power. The deep-sea profound ice iron was an extremely rare earth-rank spiritual item, hidden in the deep sea, was very difficult to find, and naturally carried a deep coldness. As long as the cultivation base of the sword master who wielded it rose, their comprehension of the ice attribute reached the perfection realm. After the human and sword unified as one could even freeze up to 1,000 li. On the double-edged sword in Chu Han's hand, there were engravings of intricate patterns, which could make one dizzy if they looked too closely. It was obviously a hidden high-level array. Made of deep-sea profound ice iron, and there's also an array and restriction enhanced by a grade 4 array master. If your sword was re-refined with heavy water, it could probably reach the level of peak-quality saint treasure. Lu Mu Han couldn't resist complimenting as well. For sword masters who cultivated ice attribute elemental skills, natal magic tools made of deep-sea profound ice iron could definitely rank in the top 3 of their first choice. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, her ice attribute comprehension was only at beginner's realm, and even if she had deep-sea profound ice iron, she wouldn't be able to control that icy aura. But she could consider it in the future. After all, she could comprehend all the laws of heaven and earth, and her natal magic tool also needed all attributes. The corner of Chu Han's lips twitched. Heavy water was a spiritual item that even a sword saint powerhouse needed to spend decades to refine. It even required the sword master to be proficient in the water elemental energy attribute. Why was it that when she said it, it was as easy as eating? Do you have any heavy water, Miss Lu? I can buy it at a high price. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow and said with a smile, I can consider selling one to you after I refine it in the future. This sentence even made a cold person like Chu Han roll his eyes. Could a sword master who couldn't even comprehend the water elemental law even refine heavy water? What a joke. His pupils shrank slightly. Could it be that Lu Mu Yan also possessed the water elemental energy law? Then Bi shook his head. Lu Mu Yan was already a 3-attribute sword master at such a young age, how could she even comprehend the water element? If she really was so talented, then truly, couldn't she let the sword masters of the younger generation live a bit? Then this one will wait for young Miss Lau's heavy water. Although Chu Han didn't think Lu Mu Yan could really make it, but he didn't reveal it on his face. Alright. Let's not speak any more nonsense, let's keep fighting. Lu Mu Yan nodded with a smile. As long as she broke through the foundation establishment stage and condensed her golden core, and more deeply comprehend the water attribute elemental energy that had already reached the understanding realm for a bit of time to the great achievement realm, then it wouldn't be difficult for her to refine heavy water. Chu Han didn't say more either. He held the dark hilt with both his hands and waved it a few times in the air. The double-edged sword made from deep-sea profound ice iron was very heavy and required a strong physique to use. This was also one of the reasons why he worked hard on cultivating body skills. The giant sword only swung a few times, and the temperature around suddenly dropped. A thin layer of ice instantly covered the battle platform. The icy sword aura formed vortexes after vortexes and swept towards Lu Mu Yan. The ice attribute sword aura this time wasn't something the previous snowflakes could compare to. It was simply the comparison between the bright light of the moon and the light of fireflies. Wherever the vortexes went, there was no omission of ice. This time, Lu Mu Yan didn't wait for the ice to hit her like last time. She gestured a few strange Taoist seals with her hands in the air, and the golden longsword in front of her instantly transformed into a golden wall to temporarily block the vortexes before her. Then she tapped her toes, retreated a few meters, and jumped onto a stone pillar. Standing on the stone pillar, she continued to form seals. When the golden wall was frozen by the ice and frost, although the vortexes were weakened slightly, but it was still raging as it attacked. With a flip of her hand, a cluster of orange flames leapt in her palm. In the middle of the orange flame, there was a faint cyan light beating, as if it couldn't wait to jump out. You really do have a spirit flame. Chu Han narrowed his eyes slightly, his expression sinking. As soon as Lu Mu Yan's orange flame appeared, the surrounding temperature rose exponentially, enveloping the icy cold. Go! Orange firebirds flew out of her palms one after the other continuously, raised their heads, made a long cry, and flew towards the vortexes. The icy cold aura of the vortexes quickly dodged after the firebirds swooped over, as if it had encountered some natural enemy, and wisps of steam emerged. The firebirds' humanized eyes revealed a ferocious light, obviously not going to let go of the vortexes that were dodging, and one by one, they flew into them like moths to a flame. Chapter 315, Tragic Victory, Win the Championship. Chu Han felt the trembling from the icy air in the vortexes. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Firebirds threw themselves into the ice vortexes one after the other. Instead of being slaughtered by the ice, however, they melted the vortexes into a pool of water. A moment later, when Chu Han opened his eyes again, there was actually faint dark light in his eyes. A cluster of black flames flew out of his eyes and landed in the center of the battlefield, then he started to brandish the sword based on instinct. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were solemn. She knew that Chu Han's trump cards were all revealed. He also had a spirit flame, and the black flame on him should be the companion flame that grew with the deep sea profound ice iron, so it was exceptionally cold. But fortunately, the energy in his spirit flame was slightly inferior to that of the orange blaze, and it could compare even less to the purple gold spirit flame. But she was only going to expose the orange blaze trump card today. The purple gold spirit flame couldn't be revealed for the time being. As soon as the black scorch appeared, the surrounding temperature gradually dropped again, and it stopped when it reached a balance. Chu Han's giant sword repeatedly waved around and black sword lights burst out, forming thousands of phantoms that all fell towards Lu Mu Yan with lingering coldness. Lu Mu Yan's metal attribute elemental energy attribute only touched the edge of the great achievement realm and couldn't be compared with the ice attribute elemental energy of Chu Han's that was after the great achievement realm. In addition, due to the enhancement of the deep sea profound ice iron giant sword, the golden longsword that was frozen earlier could no longer be used flexibly. Her expression chilled, and with a thought, she pointed to the sky twice. Instantly, a cloud of red flames and a cloud of green mist loomed in midair, turning into two huge axes. They slashed down heavily at the thousands of sword shadows that spurred towards her. An axe with a blazing flame and an axe with green auras surrounding it with vitality, this was the condensation of her two primary elemental energy attributes of fire and wood at Great Achievement Realm. The thousands of black sword shadows and two axes were at a stalemate in midair, and they were evenly matched. Neither side could immediately annihilate the other. Chu Han released the huge sword in his hand and allowed it to control the sword shadows in the air. He, himself, took a step forward, and the black scorch in the center of the battle platform that was clashing against the orange flame returned to his hand. One of his hands constantly formed Taoist seals, and the other condensed the black scorch into a dark ball of light, its power transmitting out from his hand. The dark ball of light was covered with a layer of fluorescent light, which looked as bright as obsidian but with a destructive aura, and it steadily converged within the ball of light. Lu Mu Yan, let's decide the outcome with one move. Chu Han raised his head and looked at Lu Mu Yan deeply. At this time, Lu Mu Yan also condensed an orange light ball and a cyan blue cluster of light sparks flickered in the center of it. All right. That's exactly what I was thinking. Chu Han's trump cards were all out while she couldn't reveal too much. The orange blaze was also considered her trump card, which would make people feel amazed and fearful, but it wouldn't make them want to kill her. But if she released her purple gold spirit flame and the golden needles made from heavenly frost golden essence, then perhaps some high-level powerhouses would aim for both her spirit flame and her golden essence with the intention of looting and killing. The purple gold spirit flame had evolved after swallowing the orange blaze and the venom sac and was now something that the two spirit flames currently used in battle could not compare to. Even those powerhouses above Sword Saint would definitely be tempted when they saw it. The dark ball of light and the orange ball of light came out from the hands of the two simultaneously. The black sword shadows and the two giant axes in the air were shining brightly as well, only wanting to attack each other immediately. As soon as the two balls of light came into contact, the air of ice and aura of scorching heat instantly scurried in this space, and a dazzling light covered the entire battlefield. Boom boom. The battle platform and stone pillars that had been enhanced finally collapsed under the influence of the power of the two balls. Even the stone pillar under the judge began to climb with cracks, and finally turned into rubble with a huge crash. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The judge flew away to dodge. Seeing that the whole building began to shake, his expressionless face couldn't resist but change, and he immediately raised a yellow flag. As soon as the array flag was raised, a light cover with strong, pressuring energy surrounded the battlefield. All the power brought by Chu Han and Lu Muyan's two spirit flame balls of light that had merged landed on the light cover and was completely absorbed. After the dazzling rays of light passed, there was dust all around the entire battle platform, and the platform had already collapsed, stones shattered and scattered. Those watching the battle were holding their breaths at this time, quietly waiting for the end of the battle. After a while, the smoke gradually dissipated, and everyone saw a man in black lying on a large rock. At this time, the originally stern-looking, black-clothed man was wearing ragged clothes, his hair disheveled, the skin exposed was covered in blood, and his face was pale while his eyes were filled with disbelief. That's Chu Han. Someone in front of the crystal wall asked in disbelief. Xiao Junyao's expression appeared complicated and sighed, that's indeed Chu Han. His aura is weak now. I'm afraid he's seriously injured. What about Lu Muyan? Someone couldn't help but ask. This was also the question in many people's minds. The elders of the 6 major sects also stared at the crystal wall fixedly, eagerly wanting to know Lu Muyan's situation. In a bit, a figure slowly walked out of the dust. Her face was pale and she was holding a dull, golden longsword in her hand. Although the light purple clothes weren't as ragged as Chu Han's, but it was also damaged in several places. The hair that was originally tied was now softly scattered around her waist, making her whole person appear with a kind of delicate beauty. There was still a trace of unwiped blood on her lips. Her expression was light, but her unbridled self-confidence was still naturally unabated. Using the golden sword as a crutch, she walked slowly to Chu Han. Facing his complicated and deep black eyes, she said slowly, "You lost." Lu Muyan's current situation was actually not that good either. Her internal organs were damaged by the power of the black flame just now, and her spiritual energy in her body was basically exhausted. She never underestimated Chu Han from the beginning, but she also didn't expect that the power of his trump cards would be so powerful. If there wasn't the powerful mental energy barrier to support her, and under the condition that she didn't use the purple gold spirit flame, then maybe she would also be as seriously injured as Chu Han, unable to move, or even fall unconscious. This time, she did win Chu Han, but it was only a tragic victory, which also made her determination to pursue the path of the strong even stronger. She must become more powerful. Chu Han closed his eyes. He didn't even have the strength to move his fingers, let alone the ability to continue fighting back. Yes. I lost. Although he was convinced by the defeat, but the desire to become stronger only grew in his heart. Lu Muyan was indeed a very strong opponent. Even after all his means and trump cards were used, he still lost. He didn't lose wrongfully. The judge's eyes were filled with surprise. In fact, from the beginning of the battle, he was more optimistic about Chu Han. He didn't expect Lu Muyan to not only have such a variety of tricks, but her strength also shouldn't be underestimated. Her win this time didn't have any loopholes to pick. She really did defeat Chu Han by virtue of her strength. Lu Muyan wins the last match. A seemingly faint mental energy entered this room and sounded in the judge's sea of consciousness. After a moment, with a faint smile on his serious face, he said, "On behalf of the organizers, I announce that the champion of this Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony is Lu Mu Yen from Yenzhou Kingdom in the eastern region." At this time, the sword masters in front of the crystal wall were eerily quiet, obviously not having recovered from the battle just now. Chapter 316, Go Poke a Scarlet Bee's Nest. Only after the main judge announced it, there was a burst of inhalation in the hall. Lu Mu Yen actually won the championship, that's incredible. Yeah. The battle between her and Chu Han was so exciting, I'm still amazed about it when I think of it. The battle between Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han wasn't only a showdown of strength, but also a battle of minds. The fighting methods used between the two were exceptionally exciting. Even a fight between venerable sword masters might not compare. Lu Mu Yen was at a disadvantageous position from the beginning due to the disparity in cultivation base, but with her extraordinary mind, she led Chu Han into her game step by step. First, she destroyed the silver longsword he was accustomed to using, then used the advantage of the fire and wood dual elemental energy comprehension that she had comprehended to the great achievement stage to hold back Chu Han's thousand shadow sword skill he shot from his huge deep-sea profound ice iron sword. In fact, many of the people present were wondering how Lu Mu Yen resisted Chu Han's ferocious black flame ball. After all, if it were one of them, if they directly withstood that move, even if they didn't die, they'd be half-crippled. Luo Yi and the others who lost against Chu Han couldn't help but be moved. It turned out that Chu Han was so powerful. They didn't wrongfully lose. But Lu Mu Yen defeated Chu Han. This also meant that she was stronger than them, and it also aroused the valor of the men. I really didn't expect that. Aside from Lord Luo, those who entered the top 3 this time were actually 2 sword masters from little-known small kingdoms, and I have to admit that they're both indeed very strong. An elite genius from a superpower kingdom smiled bitterly. Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death. We can't envy their talent. Who would have expected that the trump cards of those two are so powerful? Not only are they both sword cultivators, but they also possess spirit flames. Someone said enviously. Presumably, the two of them encountered a fortuitous opportunity before coming into this space. Chu Han's giant sword is made from deep-sea profound ice iron, and Lu Mu Yan's golden sword is also refined from heavenly frost golden crystal and various rare spars. If it weren't that her metal attribute elemental energy hadn't reached great achievement realm, otherwise the power of her golden longsword definitely wouldn't be weaker than Chu Han's giant sword. After all, the value of the deep-sea profound ice iron and the heavenly frost golden crystal are both earth-rank spiritual items. Lu Mu Yan's natal magic tool was engraved with a small array to hide the material used for refining the sword body, but in the fight with Chu Han just now, after being frozen by the deep-sea profound ice iron, the array was damaged, and so also exposed its original form. Therefore, it was normal for smiths above grade 2 to recognize its original appearance. TSK, I only thought that Lu Mu Yan's golden sword was very powerful before, but I didn't expect it to be made of heavenly frost golden crystal. But why couldn't we recognize it before? Someone asked in confusion. An array master said, she arranged an array on the golden sword. So that's how it is. There was an endless stream of discussions below, all revolving around Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han. Many even revealed expressions of pain because they had put all their bets on Chu Han. Meanwhile, Si Nan and the others happily took the spiritual stones that they won from betting on Lu Mu Yen. In the central castle, the elder of the 8 Extremes sect glowed with an exceptional brilliance, as if he was the one that won. How Shan, old man, give me the array chart now. As expected, this old man has good eyesight. His old face was like a wrinkled chrysanthemum as he smiled. The elder of the vast mountain sect rolled his eyes, displeased, but still tossed him the set of array charts that he had so much difficulty obtaining with an expression as if his flesh hurt. Take it. When he was finished, he cursed inwardly, after lousy digs Lu Mu Yen to the vast mountain sect, it'll make sure you can't even find a place to cry. I really didn't expect that the final winner would be Lu Mu Yen, that little girl. Her talent is indeed extraordinary. The elder of the medicine sect was most optimistic about Lu Mu Yen among the sword masters in this competition. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The first condition for an alchemist was for them to be able to possess the dual elemental energy attributes of fire and wood. The deeper the comprehension of the two attributes, the more conducive to improving the grade of an alchemist. Even a grade 4 alchemist such as himself only owned the wood attribute at Great Achievement Realm. If Lu Mu Yen was brought to the medicine sect to train, her future would be boundless. Of course, the other sect elders sitting here all had the same idea in their hearts. They wouldn't miss Chu Han, but they must win Lu Mu Yen. After the competition, Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han didn't leave immediately, but instead, quickly recovered from their injuries and cultivation base. Half a day later, the main judge's voice sounded again in the building. After the finals of the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony is over, us organizers will activate the Great Spiritual Gathering Array a quarter of an hour from now to concentrate the surrounding spiritual force in this mountain forest here. You have 10 days to absorb and improve your cultivation base. 10 days later, everyone will return to the building hall on the top of the mountain to gather, and the elders of the 6 major sects will personally select the sword masters who enter their sects. The Continental Tournament for Hegemony has expressly stipulated that the top 10 sword masters in the finals have the right to freely choose among the 6 major sects, so we will pass the information about the 6 major sects to the identity jade tablets of the top 10 people through an array. You will properly decide which sect you want to join in these 10 days. As for the other 90 people, you will wait for the elders of the 6 major sects to allocate your places. As for which sect you go to in the end, it's not up to you to decide. Alright. The Great Array is about to activate. You can leave to cultivate deeply in the 10 days. Senior Judge, can I ask a question? Lu Mu Yen said after thinking for a bit. The judge was slightly surprised, but he still liked Lu Mu Yen, so he replied, Ask. Are we going to be sent out of this space after choosing the sect in 10 days? Lu Mu Yen asked. Yes. After 10 days, the Great Array will teleport all the people gathered in the hall out of this space. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows. As expected. Then can we leave this mountain in the 10 days? After hearing her question, many people couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Once the Spirit Gathering Array activated, the spiritual force on this mountain would be several times that of the outside. Only fools would leave this mountain to go out. Yes, but you must come back and gather in 10 days, otherwise it will automatically be regarded as giving up the opportunity to enter the 6 major sects. I've finished asking my questions, thank you Senior for clarifying my doubts. No problem. You can all leave now. Of course, if you choose to cultivate in this hall, you can also stay. Lu Mu Yen didn't leave immediately. After the previous battle, she already felt that a breakthrough was coming, so she closed her eyes and began to cultivate to break through to peak phase Sword Monarch. Chu Han also didn't consider leaving this place to find somewhere to cultivate, so he also sat cross-legged on another side. Many of the people present had no plans to leave. After all, after the Spirit Gathering Array was activated, their goal was to absorb the spiritual force crazily. There was no need to venture out in danger. A small number of people left the hall for various reasons. But Lu Mu Bai and the others naturally remained. 3 days later, Lu Mu Yen didn't go to the lobby to find Lu Mu Bai and the others, but after telepathically sending word to them, she called Yi Qing Han and left quietly. After another 2 days, 2 figures emerged outside the forested mountains of the finals and headed towards a deep mountain. Lu Mu Yen had been thinking about those scarlet bees for a long time. If she was teleported out of this competition space, then she would miss the opportunity, so she couldn't wait as she called Yi Qing Han to go poke the scarlet bee's nest together. Chapter 317, The method of raising Lu Mu Yen took Yi Qing Han to the place where she provoked the scarlet bee's nest last time. Mu Yen, do you want to contract those scarlet bees? Yi Qing Han looked at the fist-sized scarlet bees with purely red bodies and his scalp felt numb. The scarlet bees were social demonic beasts. If they were separated, their combat power wouldn't be strong, but if they were dispatched in groups, even the powerhouses Sword Venerable and above would have a headache. The scarlet bees had several attributes. Their tail thorn wasn't only highly poisonous, but also paralyzing. It was one of the demonic beasts that human sword masters and many other demonic beasts were most reluctant to provoke. He didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to have ideas for the scarlet bees. At the same time as being helpless, he was filled with pampering. No, I just want to make a contract with the Scarlet Bee Empress. These scarlet bees are all grown up, so they won't live long after contracting. And it's a waste of mental energy to contract so many scarlet bees. Lu Mu Yen shook her head. Yi Qing Han understood, true. If you can contract the Scarlet Bee Empress, then each time she laid eggs, the scarlet bees would be branded with your mental energy and would obey your commands without needing to contract. However, the Scarlet Bee Empress isn't that easy to contract. The Empress inside has to at least be tier 7, and maybe even tier 8. It's different from other ordinary demon cultivators. Although its own combat power is weak, but there are tens of thousands of Scarlet Bee guards. He thought for a bit then added. Lu Mu Yen also knew that the Scarlet Bee Empress was difficult to contract, but she had come up with a solution recently. I have a solution, but I need Qing Han to help me. Sure. Yi Qing Han would never refuse any of Lu Mu Yan's requests and was very happy that she could ask him for help. Lu Mu Yen was just about to speak when there were sudden bursts of piercing screams from the bee nest in the distance. That voice was filled with extreme pain and exhaustion, and pressure filled the area. It's the cry of the Scarlet Bee Empress. Yi Qing Han's face sank. Hearing this sound, she's a tier 8 demonic beast. Do you know why she screamed like this? Lu Mu Yen looked sideways and asked. She knew the ancient contract skill and knew a lot about demonic beasts, but this was still limited to the immortal cultivation world. There were many demonic beasts on this continent that she had never even heard of before. In the immortal cultivation realm, there were gold-devouring insects but no scarlet bees. The only reason she knew of scarlet bees was because she had read it in the Continental Demonic Beast records in the Academy Library, but the records were only general and not detailed. Compared to Yi Qing Han, who came from a distinguished clan of spirit beast masters, she definitely didn't know as much as he did. She's birthing offspring right now. Yi Qing Han pressed his lips and said, she should have reached the end of her lifespan. Birthing offspring? You mean she's giving birth to a new Scarlet Bee Empress? Lu Mu Yen asked with furrowed brows. Each generation of Scarlet Bee Empress would desperately give birth to a new Scarlet Bee Empress when their lifespan was near its end, and when she was giving birth, the entire hive was at its strongest. Those scarlet bees wouldn't leave the hive no matter what happened. The plan she had prepared before seemed to be in vain. Yes. The center of the hive is filled with scarlet bees from tier 6 to tier 7. She's not far from giving birth. The screams just now means that she should have just started giving birth. Yi Qing Han said. Lu Mu Yen rubbed her chin and sighed. I originally wanted to lure them away from the hive in waves with spiritual herbs that the scarlet bees like, but now it wouldn't seem to work. Her initial plan was to make Bing Ji and Yi Qing Han's Golden Eagle King hold the spiritual herbs to lure the scarlet bees away, and then she and Yi Qing Han would take the opportunity to go in and capture the Scarlet Bee Empress. Now that the end of the Scarlet Bee Empress' lifespan was approaching, even if she contracted her now, her lifespan would only be extended for a few months at most, and the contract value had been lost. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, actually, it's not necessarily a bad thing for the Scarlet Bee Empress to die. Yi Qing Han thought a bit, then a wise smile rose on his handsome face. Lu Mu Yen blinked and asked, what do you mean? The Scarlet Bee Empress is a tier 8 demonic beast right now, so it wouldn't be easy to contract, and it would also be difficult to raise and nurture. After all, she's already used to being the only one in this space. But now that she's about to give birth, we just need to wait for her to give birth to a new empress, and you can directly contract the newly born Scarlet Bee Empress. Yi Qing Han smiled lightly and said. Lu Mu Yen smiled helplessly. It's a good plan, but I don't know how to raise a Scarlet Bee Empress. even if the contract is successful, but it'll be difficult for it to survive. She naturally thought of contracting the new scarlet bee empress before, but scarlet bees were different from other demonic beasts. The newly born empress was very fragile. If she took it away from the hive without the method of raising it, then 90% of them would die prematurely. I have its raising method here. Yi Qing Han smiled lightly. With a thought, a jade slip fell into his hand. He handed it to Lu Mu Yen and said, Mu Yen, I copied this method of raising from my clan's secret classics. I'll gift it to you now. It's copied from your clan's secret classics. Can you give it to me? If it's inconvenient, then you don't need to. It's not like I have to contract a scarlet bee empress. Lu Mu Yen didn't want Yi Qing Han to be in a difficult position. After all, the precious secret classics of clans weren't allowed to be leaked by clan pupils. Yi Qing Han shoved it into her hands with a smile, no worries. This is what mother left me. The people in the clan aren't qualified to interfere with me. The Yi clan had regulations that didn't allow the disclosure of the secret classics of how to breed demonic beasts, but this secret classic was left to him by his mother and didn't belong to the Yi clan. It was just that his father had put it into the clan's classics library to encrypt and hide it, but the owner was still him. And his mother once said that if he liked a woman who was also a spirit beast master, then he could copy and gift this secret classic to her. Even if they weren't fated in the end, it could still leave a memory as a souvenir. His mother was a very open-minded and wonderful woman. Lu Mu Yen saw that although he had a smile on his face, there was a bit of desolation in his eyes. Remembering his experience at home, she couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Yi Qing Han's mother's background should be extraordinary, otherwise he wouldn't have so many secrets. But also because of this, he must have endured more things than others. Then I won't be polite and I'll accept it. Lu Mu Yen didn't want to brush off Yi Qing Han's kindness. And she indeed needed such a method of raising. Look at the breeding method of the Scarlet Bee Empress. Let's wait here for her to give birth. Yi Qing Han said. All right. Lu Mu Yan's mental energy penetrated into the jade slip and looked at it carefully, becoming more and more alarmed. She would furrow her brows at times while at other times, her eyes would sparkle as if she had comprehended something. This copy of the jade slip contained not only the raising methods of scarlet bees, but also the introduction and raising methods of no less than 100 rare demonic beasts. Its preciousness could only be imagined. After scrutinizing the raising methods of scarlet bees, she just realized that it was indeed fortunate that she had brought Yi Qing Han together. Otherwise, if she raised according to her own feelings, then that new empress might not survive for 10 years in her hands. In such a way, Lu Mu Yen studied the raising method in the secret classic, while Yi Qing Han cultivated by her side, and 2 days passed quickly. On this day, the sky had only just lit, and the harsh screams in the distant hive gradually stopped. The aura also gradually weakened, indicating that the old generation of the Scarlet Bee Empress was about to pass away. After another half a day, Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han looked at each other and quietly felt their way towards the hive. Chapter 318, Millennium-Old Royal Jelly. Lu Mu Yen handed Yi Qing Han a talisman when approaching the hive. This is an invisibility talisman. As long as it's attached to your body, and we don't use elemental energy, we won't be discovered. We'll feel our way to the Scarlet Bee Empress nest in a bit and run away immediately after the contract is completed. This was the talisman that she spent a lot of effort refining before, but she didn't expect to use it. Seeing her sneaky, thief-like appearance, Yi Qing Han said with amusement, "All right." After the two stuck on the talisman, their figures and aura disappeared instantly, and they walked quietly towards the center of the hive. The scarlet bee's hive was very large, more than 5 meters high, and the outside was filled with tier 6 and 7 scarlet bees patrolling back and forth. The scarlet bees were a relatively special type of demonic beast, because it was directly birthed and controlled by the Empress of the Scarlet Bees, so their intelligence wasn't that high, and they couldn't transform into the human form. The Scarlet Red Empress needed to reach tier 9 to be able to transform into human form, but her intelligence was relatively high. The two entered the central nest, which was filled with royal jelly, and there was a crooked cave in the nest. Going down the cave, the age of the royal jelly continued to grow, and it took about an hour to come to an end. At the end, surrounded by orange-yellow millennium-old royal jelly, Lu Mu Yan's eyes lit up. This royal jelly was a good thing. It could not only improve one's cultivation base, but also had the effect of maintaining beauty and youthfulness, and was one of the main ingredients for refining the beauty-enhancing pill and the beauty-preserving pill. Qing Han, with this millennium-old royal jelly, we can refine the beauty-preserving pill that helps one maintain youth and immortal beauty. It'll give you a few by then, and your appearance will last forever. Lu Mu Yan said excitedly to Yi Qing Han telepathically. All women loved beauty, even Lu Mu Yan was no exception. In her previous life, she took a beauty-preserving pill to stay young forever. In this life, she naturally wouldn't let herself become a gray-haired, wrinkled old woman. Yi Qing Han had a smile on his lips. There's such pills. If Lu Mu Yan refined this kind of pill, then those female sword cultivators would probably all go crazy. Lu Mu Yan raised her chin and said with slight tsundere, of course. And only I know about the pill formula. The beauty-enhancing pill could beautify one's appearance, and one's face would appear younger and younger, but it was only useful if one took it long-term. On the other hand, the beauty-preserving pill could keep one's youthful appearance forever, but the main ingredients for refining this pill required several rare spiritual herbs, and she didn't have it all. When she accidentally broke into this scarlet bee's hive before, she already had the idea to take the royal jelly, and when she refined the beauty-enhancing pill and sold it, she would not only make huge money, but it was also a long-term business. There was no figure of the scarlet bee empress here. Lu Mu Yan used her mental energy to sweep around constantly, then finally discovered that there was a faint aura coming from a piece of royal jelly. She walked over quickly and entered the royal jelly with Yi Qing Han. Sure enough, there was a door made of honeycombs behind the royal jelly. Pushing through the door and into it was a small space. The light in the space was very good, and there were several corpses of the Scarlet Bee Empress within. The newest one's life force dissipated just before they entered, and the corpse was relatively large. Beside her was a crystal clear and transparent honey-yellow bee pupa, with a strong beating aura of life. Mu Yan, quickly go make a contract. Yi Qing Han said. Lu Mu Yan took off her invisibility talisman and walked cautiously in front of the bee pupa. After finding that there weren't any strange changes, she quickly dropped a drop of blood essence onto the pupa. Then she chanted a difficult incantation silently as she constantly formed seals. Circles of jade-colored light covers enveloped her and the bee pupa. After an hour, the jade-colored light cover lit up and turned into two streams of light that entered into Lu Mu Yan and the bee pupa's bodies respectfully. Lu Mu Yan wiped the fine sweat on her forehead. Although this new Scarlet Bee Empress was just birthed, but its mental energy was exceptionally strong. If it weren't for her mental energy being even stronger than that of the bee pupa, then she would have been backlashed. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Mu Yan, how is it? Yi Qing Han asked with concern. Lu Mu Yan smiled lightly and said, this bee pupa's mental energy is so strong that I almost failed. Even you almost failed with your mental energy? Yi Qing Han said in surprise, no wonder we've never heard of someone contracting the Scarlet Bee Empress. So it's because their mental energy is too strong and can't be contracted. Lu Mu Yan's mental energy was several times, or even more than 10 of times his, yet she almost failed. Then it really was that few people could contract this kind of demonic beast. He used to wonder why those high-level spirit beast masters didn't contract social demonic beasts like the scarlet bees. Once successfully contracting such demonic beasts, then they would definitely be exceptionally powerful. So it seemed that it was because they were too difficult to contract. Scarlet bee swarms weren't only difficult to find, but also required the spirit beast master to have stronger mental energy than the Scarlet Bee Empress. It truly was difficult to meet those two conditions. Yeah. Fortunately we're lucky. If I contracted the old Scarlet Bee Empress of Tier 8, then I might failed. Maybe I'd even be backlashed at the same time as failing. Lu Mu Yan sighed with lingering fear. Her mental energy was indeed very strong, but her cultivation base held her back. If she encountered that Tier 8 Scarlet Bee Empress, unless she asked Mo Yen to help suppress her, otherwise her chances of successfully contracting her would be only half. Not good, there's a riot happening among the scarlet bees outside. Lu Mu Yan's expression suddenly changed and she quickly put away the contracted Scarlet Bee Empress and the corpses. Then she took out her long sword and channeled elemental energy into it, and slashed it towards the edge of the nest. The royal jelly flowed out in an instant. With a thought, she put all the royal jelly into her interspatial ring. The interspatial ring refined by Great Master Wu was very large, and had a special independent space, perfect to hold these millennium-old royal jelly. After these were done, the two heard the harsh, buzz-buzz, sounds enter their ears. After the death of the old Scarlet Bee Empress, the Scarlet Bee swarms waiting outside only had a lifespan of at most 10 years. Their mission was to protect the new Empress Bee to be born from her pupa and to breed new Scarlet Bees. And the reason why Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han were able to succeed so quickly was thanks to the hierarchy of the Scarlet Bees. The Empress nest wasn't allowed to be entered by other Scarlet Bees. However, she contracted the new Bee Empress, so the Scarlet Bees who were waiting outside suddenly had their connection cut off with it, and so the crazy riot broke out. Escape! Lu Mu Yen grabbed Yi Qing Han's hand and rushed towards the outside of the cave using her flash steps. It wasn't that the invisibility talisman couldn't be used, but once that talisman received attacks, they would reveal their true form and their speed would be even slower. Tens of thousands of scarlet bees rushing in would inevitably dispel the stealth effect, and they would be in trouble. Yi Qing Han held Lu Mu Yan's hand tightly, and a layer of cyan light circled out of his body to wrap around the two of them. He quickly escaped at her pace. As soon as the scarlet bees rushed in, they found the two of them and bared their fangs, fiercely spewing a variety of colors of poisons, flames and icicles to attack them. Lu Mu Yen flipped her hand and an orange flame jumped out and burned a lot of scarlet bees to death. Yi Qing Han constantly slammed his palm wind towards them. His palm wind carried a special kind of elemental energy, making the crazy scarlet bees not dare to approach. In the end, the two of them just managed to find a way out from the swarm of tens of thousands of bees. Running all the way, both of them were injured. The two of them continued to condense and support the cyan light and orange light cover, but they couldn't stand the deadly attack of the scarlet bee swarm. The scarlet bees were like moths to a flame. Even if they died, they wanted to drag them back. In the end, the two had to try their best to escape the scarlet bee's nest. The moment Lu Mu Yen exited, she had Bing Ji return to his original form and escape quickly. But the scarlet bees behind followed closely, and if anyone was present, they would definitely be shocked. One would see a huge Isolwan flying towards the outside of the mountain as a beam of light, chased by swarms of scarlet bees behind. However spectacular and magnificent one pictured this scene, it would be so. Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han sat on Bing Ji and kept changing directions as they flew, followed by a large swarm of scarlet bees. We've been outside wandering for more than 2 days. If we don't go back now, we won't be able to catch up with the selection of our sects. Lu Mu Yen turned to look at the dark mass of scarlet bees and held her forehead wordlessly. Yi Qing Han was also quite helpless. He didn't expect that the scarlet bees would chase after them so stubbornly that they couldn't even escape them after 2 days. How about we go back to the top of the mountain? As soon as the spirit gathering array activates, the great array around the building will also open, and demonic beasts tier 9 and below can't get in at all. There are too many scarlet bees and they couldn't kill them all at all. Besides, there were thousands of tier 7s. If they didn't want to die, then they really couldn't fight them head-on. And as long as they were still in this space, these scarlet bees wouldn't give up. After all, they had taken their new empress away. Alright, that's all that's left to do. Lu Mu Yen nodded in agreement and let Bing Ji fly towards the last gathering place. Half a day later, everyone except Yi Qing Han and Lu Mu Yen gathered in an open space outside the building. Lu Mu Bai and the others' expressions were a little anxious, worried that something had happened to the two of them. Luo Li and the others were also filled with worry. He asked Lu Mu Bai and the others, where did Lu Mu Yen go? Why hasn't she come back yet? Don't know. She only said she would go out for a few days. Lu Mu Bai sighed, then said firmly, Yenna will definitely be back. The end was getting closer and closer. When the elders of the 6 major sects appeared, the hearts of Lu Mu Bai and the others sank. When the elders of the 6 major sects arrived at the open space, they immediately found that Lu Mu Yen was gone. Just when the strong and sturdy elderly man of the 8 extremes sect wanted to ask, suddenly, a cyan blue light rushed over from the distant horizon and 2 figures in exceptionally sorry states leapt off from the cyan wan. Everyone looked at the 2 people whose clothes and hair were a little messy. Before they could speak, there was a sudden burst of harsh, buzz, sounds from the sky, from far to near. Immediately, an overwhelming black shadow shrouded the sky outside the array. What's this? Someone exclaimed. Heavens, why are there so many scarlet bees? One of them recognized the swarm of demonic beasts. When many people heard the words scarlet bees, their expressions changed greatly, and their scalps became numb. They all took out their magic tools, prepared to escape. However, as soon as the swarm of scarlet bees approached the building, a distant white light cover immediately appeared from the ground and covered the surroundings. The swarms of scarlet bees slammed against the light cover shield one after another, but couldn't take a step further. Many scarlet bees were even killed by the power activated by the Great Array as soon as they touched the white light circle. Some scarlet bees continuously rushed towards the Great Array without fear of death, then was finally swept away by a white projection force from the array, finally annihilated in this space. Seeing this, the scarlet bees behind didn't dare to rush forward, and could only glare at Lu Mu Yen and Yiqing Han with barred fangs. The people present were all relieved when they saw this, then turned their attention to Lu Mu Yen and Yiqing Han. Lu Mu Yen, this woman, sure could cause so much trouble. It's only been a few days and she already attracted such a large swarm of scarlet bees, didn't she want her life anymore? Lu Mu Yen, even if you don't want to live, don't harm us too. A sword master who usually didn't like her said with an unpleasant expression. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen shrugged roguishly and said, I was going to come back to participate in the final selection, but they just wanted to follow me, I can't help it. She and Yiqing Han dared to lead them here because they knew of the existence of the Great Array, otherwise even if they gave up the selection, they wouldn't bring the scarlet bees here to harm the others. They weren't so cold-blooded. You're distorting my words and reason. The man shuddered when he saw her eyes growing colder, then snorted and turned his head away, saying no more. Lu Mu Yen won the championship in the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony. In the future, regardless of which sect she entered, she would definitely be the target of their training, plus her strength was indeed really strong, so it was best not to provoke her. After all, although she attracted the scarlet bees, but they were blocked outside by the organizers' Great Array, and they weren't in any danger. Seeing that many people didn't say anything, but their expressions weren't that good, after thinking about it, Lu Mu Yen took out a bucket of century-old royal jelly, blinked, and said innocently, we were only thinking about how everyone participated in this competition together, but now we would separate, so I should send some gifts, so I went to dig the scarlet bee's hive and get some royal jelly for you all as a souvenir. Seeing her innocent expression and hearing her words, everyone couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Whoever believed in her words was being preposterous. However, hearing her say that, the people present wasn't bothered with holding a grudge anymore. Most importantly, scarlet bee royal jelly was something good. Regular drinking could prolong one's life, and improve cultivation base and beauty. The scarlet bees had the innate talent to hide its aura and it was difficult even for a sword venerable powerhouse to find them. Last time, Lu Mu Yen chased a demonic beast and accidentally entered there, then made a mark, otherwise it would be difficult to find the scarlet bee's lair again if she tried to look for it on purpose. Ha, little Lu girl sure is generous. This century-old scarlet bee royal jelly is a good thing. The elder of the 8 extremes sect happily walked to Lu Mu Yen and looked down at the royal jelly in the bucket, smacking his lips. He loved delicious spiritual items the most, and this royal jelly was one of them. If he could get some to give to a spiritual wine master to brew into honey wine, then its taste could make one drool 3 inches. Honey wine also had the effects of expanding blood vessels, strengthening the body and prolonging life. Lu Mu Yen saw that the red-haired elderly man's nose was about to touch the bucket, and the corner of her lips twitched. But she felt a little more favorable towards his straightforward appearance. The other elders of the 6 major sects also revealed surprise and enthusiasm in their eyes when they saw the royal jelly. How should I address this senior? Due to politeness, Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect raised his head reluctantly, his old face smiled into a chrysanthemum. This old man is the elder of the 8 Extremes sect, Ao Rong. Why, does little Lu girl want to give me some royal jelly as a souvenir? The other elders of the 6 major sects couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Ao Rong, this thing, sure was so shameless and skinless. To think he wasn't embarrassed to ask for something from a junior. Lu Mu Yen smiled sincerely, sure. Everyone who sees has a share. Not only senior, but also the seniors from other sects. It can also be regarded as a meeting gift from this junior towards seniors. Her subtext actually meant, I've already given you a meeting gift, would you be shameless enough not to return the gift? Since she took out a bucket of royal jelly to share with everyone, she naturally wouldn't ignore the elders of the 6 major sects. Lu Mu Yen robbed the entire hive of royal jelly. This century-old royal jelly was actually what she casually swept up on the way out of the cave, and she had hundreds of barrels of it in her space. She also had hundreds of barrels of centuries-old and even millennium-old royal jelly, so it was really trivial to take out a barrel to dispel everyone's grievances and win people's hearts. Seeing Lu Mu Yan's generosity, other people felt their flesh hurt. Didn't she know the value of century-old royal jelly? It would take at least tens of thousands of spiritual stones to buy a barrel like this, was often priceless on the market, and was most popular among female sword masters. Her rich local tyrant appearance that looked like she was saying Laonyang had money really looked like she deserved a beating. Chapter 320, Make up random excuses. The other elders of the 6 major sects naturally felt comfortable when they heard Lu Mu Yen say this. They were also very interested in the century-old royal jelly, but they couldn't be as shameless and skinless as Ao Rong to take the initiative to ask for it. Little Lu girl is so generous, this old man likes a junior like you. Ao Rong stroked his beard and smiled. He felt that Lu Mu Yen was more and more pleasing to the eye now. Before, it was mainly because of her talent, but now, it was because her temperament suited his appetite. Such a good seedling must be dug into the 8 Extremes sect. Thank you for your love, senior. Lu Mu Yen smiled humbly. Buzz buzz. A harsh scream came and the scarlet bees chasing Lu Mu Yen flew wave after wave towards them from the distance, a huge dark mass. Under the control of the several Tier 7 scarlet bees, the Tier 6 scarlet bees desperately clashed against the white light cover. One wave was killed by the array, but another wave would rush up again, unafraid of death. And all the scarlet bees were glaring fiercely at Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han, baring their fangs. They had clearly recognized their appearance and aura. Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han glanced at each other and discovered the speechlessness in each other's eyes. These scarlet bees really didn't give up. The scarlet bees rushed against the array desperately, clashing again even after a wave died, and after clashing those would die too. The people present weren't fools, so they naturally wouldn't believe Lu Mu Yan's excuse, nor would they believe that she only had such an amount of century-old royal jelly. Lu Mu Yen, just what did you do to these scarlet bees? Why do they look at you and Yi Qing Han as if they're trying to kill the people that killed their family? Some people guessed that Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han definitely must have gotten something good in the scarlet bee's nest, otherwise they wouldn't be hunted down by the scarlet bee swarm. Lu Mu Yen then revealed an innocent expression, Qing Han and I discovered the scarlet bee nest accidentally, then we thought about obtaining some royal jelly back, but who knew that we only got 2 barrels before being discovered by the scarlet bee Empress. She screamed and called for her companions relentlessly. We could only take action, then cut off one of her wings, so we completely caused trouble and were chased by these scarlet bees for several days. Then, she took out the bee Empress wing that she had dismembered long ago from her interspatial ring. And as if to confirm what she said, those scarlet bees went crazy when they saw the translucent wing, and all of them glared with their crimson eyes, rushing against the array regardless of their deaths, as if to snatch the wing back. After listening to Lu Muyan's explanation, and when they saw the severed wing, everyone was in a complete mess. Just what kind of guts did she grow? She actually dared to take Yi Qing Han to poke a scarlet bee's nest. Not only that, but also cut off the wing of the scarlet bee Empress. It would be utterly weird if those scarlet bees didn't fight you. Everyone agreed inwardly that it was Lu Muyan who encouraged Yi Qing Han to go. Only this crazy woman would do such a crazy act. A stable person like Yi Qing Han was definitely dragged there. Well, one must say, these people saw the truth. Cough cough, Eo Rong glanced at the wing on the ground, then looked up at the scarlet bees who were madly beating outside the array, and he couldn't help twitching the corners of his lips. Even he didn't dare go provoke the scarlet bees. Lu Muyan, this girl, sure was too courageous. Anyone who knew anything about the scarlet bees knew that the most important thing on the scarlet bee Empress wasn't her gestational sac, but her wings. Her wings could naturally absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth and convert it into something that could help her fertility. Only after the scarlet bee Empress absorbed it could she continuously breed scarlet bee colonies. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyan chopped off one of the wings that they depended on for survival, and even ran away with it. It was no wonder that the scarlet bee Empress went crazy. It was only excusable for her ordering the swarm to hunt down and attack Lu Muyan and Yi Qing Han. Little Lu girl, how did you cut off the wing of the scarlet bee Empress? The elder of the spirit tamers sect thought very highly of the both of them, and asked with a gentle tone. How could the two of them who only had sword sovereign strength, have penetrated into the scarlet bee hive? This was the question in everyone's heart. Lu Muyan blinked, took out a used invisibility talisman and said, Qing Han has this thing, so we dared to sneak all the way in to get the royal jelly. Who knew that we were then stared at by a pair of big eyes after only 2 barrels were filled? After hearing her screech, we didn't think much at the time, and I just used our strongest sword skill to attack it. Before it could resist, I cut off the scarlet bee Empress wing, then we ran away with this wing. After finishing, she sighed regretfully, it's a pity that I only got 2 barrels of royal jelly. She naturally wouldn't expose the contract with the new Empress, let alone make them suspect that she got something good. Therefore, before deciding to lead the scarlet bees back to the top of the mountain, she had thought out a countermeasure and excuse, and wouldn't worry that they wouldn't believe it. Those scarlet bees looked at her and Yi Qing Han as if they had a feud large enough to destroy one's family. If it were only for 2 barrels of royal jelly, it was impossible. So with her telling them this, they would at least be half believing. Her current cultivation base wasn't high, and the principle of not revealing her wealth worked everywhere. If the spirit tamers sect knew that she had the bee pupa of the scarlet bee Empress on her, then they would probably use any means to snatch it away. Seeing the bit of annoyance on her stunning little face, not at all worried about the scarlet bees, but instead looking as if she had suffered a loss to only obtain 2 barrels of royal jelly, everyone present rolled their eyes inwardly. You already obtained 2 barrels, what more do you want? And one of the most important wings of the Empress was cut off by you too. This was a priceless treasure. The scarlet bee Empress wings were one of the peak quality materials for refining magic tools. Wasn't she going to make a fortune? And yet she was still unsatisfied. How should they, people who are feeling jealousy, envy, and hatred, feel? There was an arc on Yi Qing Han's lips. Lu Muyan sure could make up stories so well. He didn't dislike such a personality, and on the contrary, such an appearance made him feel that she was very cute. He was from a distinguished clan in the eastern region, so it was reasonable to say that he had 1 or 2 invisibility talismans on him. After all, their Yi clan also had a solid foundation. However, if the invisibility talisman was made known to others that Lu Muyan made it, then it would be difficult to explain. The Lu clan definitely wouldn't be able to afford such a talisman. Lu Mu Yen didn't want to reveal that she knew how to refine talismans. Although the Scarlet Bee swarm is strong, but the Scarlet Bee Empress is very fragile. It's normal for you to successfully attack her and cut off one of her wings. Ao Rong then looked at the two of them disapprovingly and said, but your approach is too risky. It isn't impossible to be buried in the hive in order to just get some royal jelly. In the future, you should focus on protecting your life and safety. Thank you for your teachings, Senior. The two of them said simultaneously. Although Ao Rong's words were reprimanding, but they were also for their own good, and neither of them would quarrel with him. It was rare for the other elders to agree with Ao Rong's words unanimously. If the two of them died just because of some rare royal jelly, then it would be a loss for their 6 major sects. After all, both of them were in the top 10. After hearing Lu Mu Yan's explanation, seeing the wing she took out, and the madness of the scarlet bees, everyone present believed her words and no longer doubted that she obtained some kind of treasure, hence being chased by the scarlet bees. Chapter 321, Qi Xiu is Ming Xiu. The scarlet bees were social animals and didn't like to go out. They would build their nests in a fixed location and didn't like to collect treasures either. Their only hobby was collecting pollen to make honey. Lu Mu Yen and the two ran wildly with the wing of the Scarlet Bee Empress, so the scarlet bees naturally chased them to get the wing back. After all, the Scarlet Bee Empress wings could be refused even if they were broken. As long as they snatched the broken wing back, the Empress could still recover it in a short while. The doubts in everyone's hearts were mostly resolved, and there was an inexplicable feeling for the two of them who took such a risk to get royal jelly. Not only admiration for their courage, but they also felt that the behavior of the two was too impulsive, too reckless, and too crazy. It's almost time, the sect selection ceremony will take place in an hour. The wise white-haired elderly man from the heavenly secret palace gave Lu Mu Yen a meaningful look, then immediately retracted his eyes and spoke lightly. Everything Lu Mu Yen explained was reasonable, but he just felt that things weren't that simple. At least, from the perspective of Lu Mu Yan's temperament, she didn't look like someone who would risk death for a few barrels of royal jelly. But this was just a feeling. He quickly tossed it away. Even if Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han obtained a fortuitous encounter in the hive, there was no way to know now. With a change of mind, he thought that if Lu Mu Yen entered the heavenly secret palace, he would be able to check it thoroughly. Yes. After hearing the words of the most authoritative elder, all the sword masters who participated in the competition replied respectfully. Lu Mu Yen also took advantage of this free time to gift out royal jelly with Yi Qing Han, 1 bottle per person. Of course, for people who they had a good relationship with, she directly stuffed 2 or 3 bottles. Although others envied them, but they didn't say much. After all, it wasn't bad that they could obtain the royal jelly that Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han risked their lives to snatch. They remembered Lu Mu Yan's generosity in their hearts and their goodwill towards them increased a lot. An hour later, the royal jelly was also divided. Everyone stood together and waited for the last part of the competition, the sect selection. Seeing the 100 sword masters who participated in the competition standing in orderly and quiet rows, waiting, the elders of the heavenly secret palace revealed some satisfaction on their faces. Generally speaking, the sword masters of this session were better than the previous 2 sessions in terms of talent and strength. This old man is the elder of the heavenly secret palace. You all already know the rules for the selection of sects. Now, we won't waste any more time. The representatives of the inner core pupils of each sect will announce the belonging of the 11th to the 100th place. After he finished speaking, 6 people came out of the building behind him, all holding a scroll. The man in the lead was dressed in white, handsome in appearance, tall in figure, and had a noble, fallen immortal temperament that lingered around him, giving people a feeling of inviolability and one in comparison to everyone else. When Lu Mu Yen saw the man in white that was so handsome he was not like a mortal, her beautiful pupils constricted, but there was nothing strange on her expression. As if he had felt her response, the man's gaze moved to Lu Mu Yen, with a faint smile in his eyes, then he walked over to the elder of the heavenly secret palace without being distracted. The other 5 also walked to the elders of the 5 sects. Qi Xiu, announce the list of my heavenly secret palace's new pupils. The elder of the heavenly secret palace revealed a rare kindness and amicability in his gaze, and at first glance, one could see that he liked the white-clothed man very much. Qi Xiu nodded with a smile, and his long and slender fingers opened the scroll. His voice was as fine and pleasant as a clear spring, and he read the names of the sword masters below one by one. Many female sword masters all had their gaze cast on him, sticking tightly. This was the most handsome man with the best temperament they had ever seen in their lives. After Qi Xiu finished reading, the representative pupils of the other sects also opened their scrolls and read their names, but not many people paid attention. All the glory seemed to bloom only for Qi Xiu. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes inwardly. Ming Xiu, this guy, sure could pretend to be a fallen immortal very well. If it weren't for her incomparable familiarity with his aura, she would even have thought that the white-clothed man standing in front of her was his elder twin brother. Woman, have you chosen a sect? The magnetic and clear, sexy voice entered Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness, which made her heart tingle. She couldn't resist nice and sexy voices the most. This guy's voice was even better than Luo Yes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I've chosen. Lu Mu Yen said without a good attitude. This guy left in a hurry after saving her last time. Who knew that when she saw him again, his identity had turned into that of an inner core pupil of the heavenly secret palace. This made her feel like she had never seen him clearly. The mental energy of the two was above everyone here, so their telepathy wasn't discovered, not even by the elders of the 6 major sects. The smile in Ming Xiu's eyes was even stronger. This little woman's small temper was also a manifestation of her concern and interest for him. Which sect did you choose? Take a guess, you think you'll choose the heavenly secret palace? Lu Mu Yen thought of something, then blinked her eyes as she telepathically said. The corners of Ming Xiu's lips lifted slightly. The heavenly secret palace isn't suitable for you. Lu Mu Yen was surprised. She just felt that there was no need for Ming Xiu to join the heavenly secret palace because of his status in the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. When he appeared as Monarch Ming he wore a mask, so he probably entered the heavenly secret palace with some sort of purpose. Or was he a spy sent by the heavenly secret palace to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance? The first option was more likely. After pondering for a bit, she said, I choose the 8 Extremes sect. Ming Xiu's dark eyes as deep as the sea constricted slightly, then sighed, still couldn't escape it. He guessed that Lu Mu Yen might choose the sword sect or the medicine sect, but he didn't expect that she would choose the 8 Extremes sect, which was currently at the bottom of the 6 major sects. Although her choice was consistent with what he expected, but he was also afraid that she would be in danger in the end. After a while, there was a certain determination in his eyes. Lu Mu Yen would be the woman who would stand side by side with him above the clouds to watch the scenery together in the future. His woman wouldn't be the daughter flower that could only survive by entangling itself around vines. She needed to go through the baptism of wind and rain to bloom her most beautiful youthfulness. Although the 8 Extremes sect is at the bottom of the 6 major sects, but it's not that simple. Have you thought carefully about it? Lu Mu Yen nodded, I'm certain. I choose the 8 Extremes sect. She chose the 8 Extremes sect because the sect was famous for its arrays, smithing and talismans. She was very talented in arrays and also knew a lot of arrays, but she was also thirsty for knowledge of the arrays on this continent, and the 8 Extremes sect that had the strongest foundation in arrays was most suitable for her. In addition, when she first arrived at the top of the mountain, the man who had been silently cultivating in her pendant suddenly spoke up and asked her to choose the 8 Extremes sect. It was said that the forbidden area of the sect hid something useful for his recovery. Although a devil cultivator's one words couldn't be trusted, but since it was consistent with her choice, then she naturally wouldn't object. Woman, I'll tell you a secret when we meet again next time. It was currently not appropriate to telepathically say such important things. All right. Although Lu Mu Yen couldn't see through Ming Xiu clearly right now, but she had an indescribable sense of trust in him and she knew that he wouldn't harm her. She would one day learn about his past, present, and future. We'll meet again very soon. Ming Xiu said. How will we meet when we're in different sects in the future? Lu Mu Yan asked in confusion. Most importantly, Ming Xiu was an inner core pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, and her entering the 8 Extremes sect only meant that she was an outer core pupil. How much overlap would there be between them? The land of inheritance is about to open. I believe that it's very easy for you to win a spot with your ability. Ming Xiu's voice carried a smile. Lu Mu Yan rolled her eyes. You sure think highly of me. So the two of them tacitly agreed that they would meet in the land of inheritance next time, or they may even meet again sooner. One decided to go with Devil Cultivator instead of Mystic Cultivator for the translation of Mo Xiu, because Devil seems more accurate. We'll be going back to edit the terminology before. When I have time XD I did use Devil Cultivator for the term, Xia Xiu, but the author has never mentioned that again after introducing, so I'm guessing the author could have just stuck with instead of. Whatever, if ever pops up again I'll think of another term. XD sorry for the many changes. And I know I haven't gone back to edit a lot of the terminology I said I will, so there may still be inconsistencies but just haven't been bothered ha 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 ha. Anyways, may have a burst of chapters coming soon since I'm very ahead in translation XD. I just need the motivation to edit then proofread them bunch at a time ha ha ha. Chapter 322. Select a sect. When the last person finished reading the list, the sword masters from the 11th to the 100th place were all divided up by the 6 major sects. Lu Mu Yan listened carefully. The people she was with were divided into one of the sects, except for Yi Qing Han, who entered the top 10 together with her. Lu Mu Bai and Yun Lan were allocated to the Sword Sect, Yun Zmo and Fu Chen were at the Heavenly Secret Palace, Qi Yi Xian went to the Vast Mountain Sect, and Ling Fei Yang was allocated the 8 Extremes Sect. None of the 5 people from Yanzhou Kingdom were eliminated and all of them were selected by a sect. When the list of where the 90 people belonged to was finished, the wise elder from the Heavenly Secret Palace looked at the 10 people standing in front of him lovingly and said, "You are the top 10 in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony and are qualified to choose the sect you want to enter yourself. You must have all thought about it before, so let's start from the last one in the ranking." He Su Feng had already been predetermined, so he smiled and said decisively, "Junior chooses the Sword Sect." The leader of the Sword Sect nodded with satisfaction. He had good talent and his clan was also connected to the Sword Sect, so he had already been predetermined. Participating in the competition was only to directly become the core pupil of the outer sect. Of course, not everyone needed to join the 6 major sects through participating in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony, but the sword masters who entered the sect through the competition would not only skip being an outer pupil and be directly promoted to outer core pupil, but the resources they obtained would also be the best among the pupils of the same status. The outer core pupil was actually just a transition. As long as one had the ability to pass the grand competition of the sect, one could become an inner pupil. The fastest would take a few years, and the status and resources one enjoyed were simply at 2 different levels. Not only that, the top 10 people would receive the value and attention of major forces, which were conducive to the development of their clan. Therefore, that was why there were so many heirs of distinguished clans or royal families who participated in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony. The 9th place was Ji Xian, who chose the medicine sect. No one knew that Ji Xian was actually an alchemist, and also a grade 3 one at that. 8th place was Si Nan, who chose the Heavenly Secret Palace. 7th was Luo Li, who chose the Vast Mountain Sect. 6th was Yi Qing Han, who chose the Spirit Tamers Sect. 5th was Yan Jun, who chose the 8 Extremes Sect. 4th was Xiao Junyao. He was also predetermined, so he chose the Heavenly Secret Palace. When it came to the 3rd, Luo Yi, the elder of the Vast Mountain Sect, took the lead and said with a smile, "Luo Yi, your younger brother chose our Vast Mountain Sect, you must also want to choose our Vast Mountain Sect, right?" Although the top 3 all had people from their 6 major sects to contact and win over, but they didn't express their positions, so they had to do their best to attract them into their sect. Ao Rong of the 8 Extremes Sect had always been at odds with him and laughed with ridicule. "How Shan, old man, you shameless old thing. What does Luo Yi wanting to choose the same sect as his younger brother or not have to do with you?" Immediately, he looked at Luo Yi carefully, and sighed inwardly. This kid had an elegant disposition, an outstanding temperament, but unfortunately wasn't suited for the 8 Extremes sect. He contemplated, then continued, this old man thinks that Luo boy is more suitable for the sword sect. Hearing his words, the elders of the sword sect felt a rare feeling as if Ao Rong had never been this pleasing to their eyes. He also wanted Luo Yi. The elder of the vast mountain sect's nose was crooked with anger and he snorted coldly, humph. He won't choose your 8 Extremes sect anyway. Lu Mu Yen knew that Luo Ye's constitution was somewhat special, similar to the spirit sword constitution of the immortal cultivation world, and the most suitable was indeed the sword sect. Although the elder of the 8 Extremes sect destroyed the stage of the elder of the vast mountain sect, but he spoke wisely and straight to the essence with one sentence. It seemed that he wasn't as reckless and simple as he appeared. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Junior chooses the sword sect. Luo Yi said his choice with a light smile and interrupted the behavior of the two elders who continued bickering. There was a smile on the serious face of the elder of the sword sect. The sword sect is indeed the most suitable place for you. With such aptitude of yours, we will definitely focus on raising you. And the resources will also be double that of other outer core pupils. He still had this much right. Luo Yi would definitely soon become one of the most brilliant geniuses in the sword sect. He said these words not only because he wanted to ease Luo Ye's heart but also because he wanted Lu Mu Yen and Chu Han to experience the benefits of the sword sect, so he emphasized focusing on raising, and double the resources. Even if the other sword masters who were assigned to the sword sect felt uncomfortable, but they wouldn't object. After all, this world where strength was respected was just this cruel. If one wanted to be thought highly of, and to enjoy more recourse, then they must be strong themselves. Luo Ye's talent and strength were far beyond their reach. The elder of the vast mountain sect didn't look good, but knew that Luo Ye's constitution was special. It was expected that he would choose the sword sect. Either way, it was fine as long as he didn't choose the 8 Extremes sect. Next, when it came to Chu Han's choice, before he even opened his mouth, the elder of the medicine sect took the lead. Chu Han, if you join the medicine sect, all the pills you need to advance to Sword Saint will be provided by our sect. Although Chu Han wasn't an alchemist, but his talent was very suitable for a school of the medicine sect. With such talent, even if they spent a lot of resources to raise, it would still be worthwhile. Hearing the bait thrown out by the medicine sect's elder, many other sword masters became jealous. The pills required to be promoted from Sword Sovereign to Sword Saint was all provided by the medicine sect. This meant that Chu Han basically had at least half a chance of advancing to Sword Saint. The expressions of the elders of the other major sects changed. The elder of the medicine sect usually looked quite upright, but actually tempted Chu Han with such a huge bait. This old thing was too devious. Chu Han, if you choose our vast mountain sect, our sect will cover all the beast blood you need to advance to Sword Saint. The elder of the vast mountain sect said, not to be outdone. Although the Spirit Tamers sect also wanted to bring in talented pupils like Chu Han, but Chu Han wasn't a spirit beast master and his value wasn't even as great as Yi Qing Han was in their eyes, so he didn't say anything to contend. The elder of the sword sect also threw out a bait, Chu Han, as long as you choose the sword sect can give you a set of heaven rank sword skill. Hearing this bait, the people below all clicked their tongues. A heaven rank sword skill was something that many distinguished clans didn't even have. After Chu Han entered the sect, not only could he obtain key training, but he could also obtain a set of heaven rank sword skills without making any contributions. Who knew what luck he stepped on? The elder of the heavenly secret palace smiled kindly and said, Chu Han, as long as you voluntarily join the heavenly secret palace, a sword saint elder of the inner sect will accept you as a closed-door pupil and the resources of the sect will also help you advance to sword saint faster. This was obviously a huge cake for Chu Han, and this cake was very rich and delicious. It just depended on what he chose. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect didn't speak. He could see that Chu Han's eyes were firm and he probably had already made a decision and would not change it. He didn't even hesitate when the other elders of each sect were trying to win him over. He wondered to which sect this boy with such a firm heart and mind, and such excellent talent, would fall into. This junior selects the heavenly secret palace. But being the closed-door pupil of an inner elder can be exempted. I want to use my own abilities to enter the inner sect to become a core pupil. Chu Han's cold expression was filled with confidence and dominance. He also had this capital. The elder of the heavenly secret palace was overjoyed. Good. You have ambition. I believe that I will see you in the inner sect soon. Many other sword masters rolled their eyes inwardly and scolded Chu Han for being an idiot. Many people couldn't even obtain a sword saint elder of the inner sect to become their master, but he actually directly refused. Although the elders of the other sects were regretful, they didn't say much. The heavenly secret palace was the strongest of the 6 major sects and Chu Han's choice was normal. When it was time for Lu Mu Yen to make her choice, all the elders of the 6 major sects looked at her with fiery eyes, as if wolves that had been hungry for a long time. Chapter 323, The Bates of Each Sect. Lu Mu Yen was stared at by 7 pairs of fiery eyes, but her expression was neutral and was as calm as a gentle breeze and floating clouds. The other sword masters present also turned their attention to Lu Mu Yen. The elders of the 6 major sects offered such good conditions to Chu Han, so they would probably be even more so towards Lu Mu Yen. None of the elders of the major sects spoke first, wanting to hear the conditions of the other parties, then add their own chips. Lu Mu Yen looked at them in confusion and waited a little. Just as she was about to say her own choice, the elder of the vast mountain sect spoke first. Little Lu girl, I know you are a body cultivator. The best body cultivation classics are at our vast mountain sect. If you join our sect, I can make the decision to let you choose a heaven-rank body cultivation manual to cultivate and provide you with the beast blood you need to advance to Sword Saint. Such a bargaining chip couldn't be considered a small deal, but they, who were sects with deep foundations, wouldn't be stingy with geniuses. Hearing the end, the sword masters below all gasped. But Lu Mu Yen smiled lightly and didn't answer immediately. As far as she knew, heaven-rank body refining methods could be exchanged as long as one reached a certain contribution value to the sect, and it was only a copy of the method. And being able to provide beast blood to promote to Sword Saint was only a cake that couldn't be seen. Cultivators couldn't use beast blood to refine their bodies frequently, and it was the same for body cultivators. If she couldn't advance at all, then the consumption of beast blood would naturally not be much. In addition, if she really advanced to Sword Saint, then the sect would have an extra powerhouse, so the beast blood they invested would naturally be rewarded. Of course, this was a win-win situation, and few wouldn't be tempted by the bait the vast mountain sect threw out. But she was just an exception. Seeing that Lu Mu Yen was unmoved after hearing the elder of the vast mountain sect toss out such a bait, the elder of the sword sect also revealed a slight smile on his serious face. Little Lu girl, your sword array is very good, but there is still room for improvement. As long as you choose the sword sect, you can choose a set of this sect's heaven-rank sword array or sword skills to cultivate, and the resources allocated for general cultivation is doubled. Little Lu girl, your dual fire and wood elements have reached great achievement. You are born to be an alchemist. If you join the medicine sect, I can let you go to the sect's pill pavilion to read all pill formulas below grade 6, and whatever you can remember is what you get. Of course you can also choose any one of the sword sect's heaven rank methods to cultivate. The medicine sect's elder said with a gentle smile, not to be outdone. Pill formulas were the foundation of alchemists. The reason why there were no alchemists above grade 5 outside was precisely because of the lack of pill formulas. Letting Lu Mu Yen read pill formulas below grade 6 was already one of the highest rewards. If it weren't for her excelling talent, he wouldn't dare to make such a decision for the sect. The elder of the Beast Tamers sect glanced at the several people then said with a smile, Little Lu girl, your mental energy is so strong, and you also understand contract skills, you're most suited to be a spirit beast master. As long as you join our Spirit Tamers sect, you can also choose a copy of a heaven rank method and you can learn any 3 beast taming secret skills from us. You can also read detailed classics of the demonic beasts on the continent. Seeing that the conditions the other sects offered were so rich, the elder of the heavenly secret palace thought about it, then said with a kind smile, "Little Lu girl, our heavenly secret palace is the top of all 6 sects. Manuals, secret skills, resources, we don't lack in any. As long as you have enough strength, you can obtain unexpected rewards. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. After hearing Chu Han's rejection to the proposal of a Sword Saint inner sect elder to accept him as a closed-door disciple, he discovered that these people were all very proud and they were more keen on competing for resources themselves. This value was also the foundation on which the heavenly secret palace was built on. Of course, if you choose to join the heavenly secret palace, you will not only be able to choose a heaven rank method, but also a middle-quality saint treasure. He paused, then added, "If you want to become the disciple of a sword saint powerhouse as a closed-door disciple, that's possible too." Lu Mu Yen might not want to be a disciple like Chu Han, but he couldn't favor one over the other, so he naturally had to add this condition. Hearing that the elders of the 6 major sects offered such generous conditions only to win over Lu Mu Yen to choose their sect, many became jealous. Lu Mu Yen must be the first person in many Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemonies to be so highly valued by the sects. Although they were envious, jealous, and hateful, but they had to admit that her talent was indeed heaven-defying. Most importantly, she wasn't even 18 years old. If the sect vigorously raised her, then it wasn't impossible for her to advance to Sword Saint. This was precisely the difference between people. They desperately tried to enter a sect to become their outer core pupil, but then they even had to desperately cultivate and improve their strength to participate in the sect's inner selections afterwards. Then after entering the inner sect, they would have to work desperately to earn contribution points to exchange for rewards such as heaven rank methods and hope to get the attention of an elder, and best if they could even become a closed-door disciple. But then there were people like Lu Mu Yen who could obtain these even before entering the sect. How could this not make people jealous? Seeing that the elders of the other sects had all tossed out their bait, the elder of the 8 Extremes sect contemplated, and his face was still smiling like a splendid chrysanthemum. "Little Lu girl, the conditions put forward by those old things aren't that rare. Heaven rank methods can be exchanged with contribution points. As long as you contribute to the sect, secret skills can also be obtained yourself, it's meaningless." The corners of the lips of the other 5 sects elders twitched. Ao Rong, this damned old thing, made it sound so easy, but getting these things done was another matter. It was already an exception for them to offer so many attractive and rich conditions. First, it was because Lu Mu Yan's talent was worth raising, and the second was that they also wanted to fight for their sect. How come when it came out from his mouth, heaven rank methods were as ordinary as cabbages? Ao Rong, don't mislead them casually, you can indeed exchange contribution points for manuals and other things, but the required contribution points is also rather high. How's it that easy to exchange? The medicine sect's elder furrowed his brows unhappily and looked at Ao Rong to say. The elder of the vast mountain sect nodded in agreement. "I see that you old damn thing is just saying that grapes are sour because you can't have them. Your 8 Extremes sect is the bottom of the 6 major sects and you're slandering us because you can't take out that many rewards. You sure aren't embarrassed to say such things." Aside from the wise elder of the heavenly secret palace, the elders of the other major sects also agreed. "Ao Rong, what kind of reward do you want to give little Lu girl to enter the sect? Let us know too to see how rare it is." The elder of the vast mountain sect said with a fake smile, looking as if he was waiting to see him make a fool of himself. Ao Rong snorted coldly and glanced at the several people lightly. "At least I'm not as superficial as you all. Little Lu girl, I won't mention anything to you first. How about you mention what you want? If it's within a reasonable range, and our 8 Extremes sect can do it, then I'll promise you 3 conditions, how about it?" He smiled very amiably towards Lu Mu Yen. After hearing his words, Lu Mu Yen knew that this elder was very clever and sly. Agreeing to 3 conditions within a reasonable range, if she requested conditions outside of that range, then wouldn't it all be for naught? But since she had decided to join the 8 Extremes sect, she would naturally not refuse the benefits that sent itself to her door. Is it that I can request in a condition within the reasonable range of the sect's abilities? Lu Mu Yen blinked and smiled lightly as she looked at Ao Rong. Chapter 324, 3 Conditions. Seeing Lu Mu Yan's beautiful eyes shining like stars, Ao Rong secretly thought to himself, oh no, how could he forget this girl's cunning, fox-like temperament? However, what he said naturally couldn't be taken back. Besides, he really liked this little girl's temperament and wanted her to join the sect. Yes, as long as the conditions you put forward meet the requirements, this old man can meet your conditions on behalf of the sect. Then I'll begin to mention it. Lu Mu Yen said with a smile, first, I want to read the classics regarding arrays and talismans grades 6 and below within the sect. If the grade was raised above grade 6, it would definitely be denied. After all, the advanced classics and manuals were all the foundations of the sect to take a foothold on this continent, and it was impossible to give to her, a core pupil of an outer sect, to read. Sure, no problem. Ao Rong agreed with a wave of his hand. This wasn't difficult. Second, after I enter the outer sect as a core pupil, I need an individual courtyard with abundant spiritual force. I don't like living with other people. She possessed many secrets. Sometimes she would also need to do things like refining pills, so it was inconvenient to live with other pupils of the sect. This is even less of a problem. I can assign you an independent courtyard where you won't be disturbed and guaranteed an abundance of spiritual force. Ao Rong paused, then said, it's this simple. The first 2 conditions were too simple. He had a feeling that Lu Mu Yan's third condition would be beyond imagination. Lu Mu Yen nodded, the first 2 conditions are just that simple. Then the third. Not only did Ao Rong want to know, but the elders of the other 6 major sects and the sword masters present also wanted to know. I heard that the land of inheritance is about to open. I want a spot. Lu Mu Yen emphasized with a raise of one finger. Ao Rong's face with a bright smile froze. This girl really dared to ask for a lot. There weren't many spots assigned for each sect to the land of inheritance. Each spot was contended for by inner pupils relying on their combat power. New pupils weren't eligible to participate in the competition. After all, they generally didn't have that ability. This is a bit difficult. Ao Rong sighed, the spots for the land of inheritance are all competed for by yourselves when the sect organizes competitions. Even inner sect elders or the sect leader's direct disciples have no privileges and must go themselves to fight for a spot. Is it that new pupils are unable to participate in the competition for spots? Lu Mu Yen asked after thinking for a bit. It's not that you can't participate, but no new pupils have participated in the competition in the past. The spots for the pupils of each major sect are held in the inner sect. Ao Rong explained. As it was held in the inner sect, even core pupils of the outer sect didn't have the eligibility to participate, so they naturally couldn't go compete. Then I won't cause inconvenience for senior. I want a spot to be able to participate in the competition. If I can win a place to go to the land of inheritance myself, then you must all allow me to go. Lu Mu Yen said, taking a step back in this conversation. It would be unfair to other inner pupils if she insisted that the sect elders give her a spot to the land of inheritance. Besides, she preferred to use her own strength to fight for what she wanted. Although this is a bit troublesome, but this old man can promise you right now that when the time comes, you can participate in the inner sect's grand competition to compete for a spot. If you can win the spot with your own abilities, then we will naturally not interfere with you going. Ao Rong sighed with relief when he heard her yielding a step, and it made him like the little girl's intelligent temperament even more. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. It was indeed a bit too much to make him promise to directly give a spot to the land of inheritance to her. Wouldn't those little brats of the inner sect and the elders cause chaos? In fact, this request of Lu Mu Yan's was also very troublesome. He would have to give up his face to ask the sect leader, that old thing, for it. It sounded like just a competition spot, but it was very difficult to obtain. After all, last time, there were several elders who wanted their direct disciples to participate, and ultimately even fought each other for a spot. Geniuses needed to grow, but it wasn't that every genius could become a powerhouse who could reach the peak. They could raise them with resources in the early stages, but it couldn't be overdone, and it was undesirable if they were too greedy. The condition that Lu Mu Yen proposed at the beginning was just a test. When she learned how a spot for the land of inheritance was contended for, she took the initiative to take a step back and only wanted a spot to participate in the competition for it. This was an intelligent person. Of course, this also required great confidence and courage in herself. After all, the new outer core pupils and the old inner sect pupils were decidedly different. Little Lu girl, how about you consider some more? Competing with the inner core pupils for a spot isn't as easy as winning first place in the tournament for hegemony. The cultivation base and strength of those older brothers and sisters of the sect are all accumulated over time and heavily raised by the sect. Ao Rong continued, the opening time of the land of inheritance might be in 3 years' time at most, but it may only be in 1 year. Maybe with more time, you can surpass them, but it's probably very difficult for you to pull teeth out of a tiger in such a short time. It's not too late to change your condition now. He was afraid that, when the time came, Lu Mu Yen would be unable to win a spot and it would affect her heart. In his opinion, Lu Mu Yan's talent was excelling, but she lacked the time to grow, so the chance of competing with the inner sect pupils for a spot to the land of inheritance and winning was practically zero. No need, I still insist on my choice. Lu Mu Yan's self-confidence and extravagance were undoubtedly revealed. She had her own pride and capital. A year was more than enough time for her to prepare. The expressions of the elders of the other 5 sects changed when they heard the two reach a conclusion. They absolutely couldn't let the elder of the 8 extreme sects snatch Lu Mu Yen just like this. They all cursed Ao Rong, this shameless old thing, inwardly. Only after they finished giving their conditions, did he lead his army. Whoever says that this old man was upright and impulsive in the future, they'd argue with whoever. If Lu Mu Yen was just talented in cultivation, then they wouldn't be fighting, but she could even become a high-level alchemist or a ray master in the future. These 2 rare professions on the continent were all very popular in the sect and was absolutely worthy of their rays. Little Lu girl, if you come to our vast mountain sect, the conditions I said before will remain the same. I'll also add that you can compete for a spot for the land of inheritance with the inner sect's pupils. You consider it carefully. The elder of the vast mountain sect looked at Lu Mu Yen with a meaningful smile and added, this is a major event that's related to your future. Absolutely don't be fooled by others. The elders of the other sects also agreed, and proposed to add this one condition under all the previous conditions. Although it was troublesome, but they could still obtain an opportunity for Lu Mu Yen to compete with the inner sect's pupils. As for whether she could obtain a spot at that time, it would be up to her. Ao Rong instantly wanted to rage quit. He finally convinced Lu Mu Yen, but these damned old things just didn't want to see his 8 extremes sect good. Not to mention snatching all the pupils with excelling aptitudes in the past, now they were snatching even after he and her had negotiated. Lu girl, don't listen to these damned old things chirping about. On top of the previous 3 conditions, as long as you choose 8 extreme sect, then this old man will make the decision to let you choose another heaven rank method to cultivate. With a big wave of his arm, Ao Rong glared fiercely at the several sect elders, then withdrew his fierce look and looked at Lu Mu Yen with a daisy-like smile. 1A saying that means Lu Mu Yen, the person pulling the teeth, is not going to advance enough to compete against these more powerful pupils, the tiger. Chapter 325, settled the vast mountain sects and the several other elders' expressions instantly turned dark when they heard Ao Rong's words. If it weren't that they were afraid of this old thing's strength, they would really like to beat him up. Seeing that they were about to quarrel again, the corners of Lu Mu Yan's lips twitched. It seemed that there weren't only competitions and disagreements between the 6 major sects, but there were also disagreements between the elders. Thanks seniors for all your love. This junior will still choose the 8 extreme sect. Lu Mu Yen smiled and said humbly. However, it was also beneficial for the few elders to quarrel. After all, didn't she just obtain an extra heaven rank manual to choose from? The expressions of the several elders who were originally arguing changed when they heard that Lu Mu Yen actually chose the 8 Extreme sect. They all looked at her with regret and pity, as well as a feeling of anger, yet they couldn't argue. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes inwardly. Although the 8 Extreme sect was at the bottom of every sect competition, but that didn't mean that it didn't have any background. The fact that it could stand on the continent and not be replaced by other sects or distinguished clans meant that it had its uniqueness. On the other hand, going to a place like the Heavenly Secret Palace was like going into muddy waters. She didn't like to join that fun at all. Towards Lu Mu Yan's choice, not to mention the other elders, even the other sword masters didn't understand. Most of the first-place winners in the previous sessions chose Heavenly Secret Palace or the Sword Sect. In fact, no one even chose the 8 Extreme sect from the top 10 in the last session. This time, not only were there 2 people, but Lu Mu Yen, the unusually smart and alert number 1, even chose the 8 Extreme sect. How unbelievable! Ao Rong, who was originally glaring at the other elders and scolding them, instantly burst into merry laughter after hearing Lu Mu Yan's words. Ha, little Lu girl has insight. Those who don't recognize excelling goods simply don't know the greatness of our 8 Extreme sect. They will definitely regret it in the future. Then he gave her a look as if to say, you have very good insight, I'm optimistic about you. The other sword masters and elders couldn't help twitching the corners of their lips when they heard his big talk. Why couldn't they see how good the 8 Extreme sect was? On the contrary, many people couldn't help but mutter inwardly, with the 8 Extreme sect having such an unreliable elder, it seemed that it wasn't that good. Yen Jun chose the 8 Extreme sect entirely because it was suitable for him. After all, although there were high-grade smiths in the Heavenly Secret Palace, but the one with the strongest foundation was still the 8 Extreme sect. He was born in the top smith clan on this continent, so he naturally knew many secrets that others didn't know. The 8 Extreme sect wasn't as weak as what the others thought. He didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to choose the 8 Extreme sect too, and there was a faint arc on his lips. With the addition of this woman, he wouldn't be lonely in the future. The elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace still had a gentle smile on his face, but he was inwardly very grim. He truly never thought that Lu Mu Yen, the number 1, would choose the 8 Extreme sect. This wasn't just a matter of losing a genius, but it was also about the face of the Heavenly Secret Palace. The first place in the past sessions basically all chose the Heavenly Secret Palace, and only their Heavenly Secret Palace could give these geniuses a broader space for development. But no matter how unhappy he was inwardly, Lu Mu Yen still chose. But he still put this debt on Ao Rong's account. He glanced at Lu Mu Yen surreptitiously. With this girl's temperament and talent, she probably wouldn't be quiet or calm even if she entered the sect. They mustn't let her grow up too fast. When the sect's grand competition arrived, if she participated, then they'd just get someone to cripple her. Lu Mu Yen naturally noticed the obscure and sinister gaze of the elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace. The killing intent in his eyes were extremely light, but she still caught it. She sneered. These damned old things were just so hypocritical. As expected, Ao Rong's temperament was more pleasant to her eyes. Although the Heavenly Secret Palace was the number 1 major sect, but it seemed that their character really wasn't good. She now guessed that Ming Xiao must have some secrets to enter the Heavenly Secret Palace, and his true identity was more likely Monarch Ming of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. Afterwards, the elders of the various sects gathered the newly promoted pupils to explain a matter, and Ao Rong was no exception. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, you have 3 months to go home to visit family and relatives, or handle the secular affairs. Then after 3 months, the sect will send elders to your kingdom or clan one by one to pick you up for you to report to the 8 Extreme sect. He gave the young man next to him a look, and the man smiled lightly and took out more than a dozen fiery red tokens, handing it to them one by one. This is the identity token of the 8 Extreme sect. You must keep it well. When the time comes, the elder that picks you up will need to verify the identity token. Yes, senior brother. The more than a dozen pupils said respectfully. Compared to the other inner pupils of the other sects, this senior brother looked very inconspicuous, especially when compared to Ming Xiu, who was filled with a noble temperament and appeared like a fallen immortal. It was basically the difference between the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground. But although this ordinary-looking man was an advanced phase sword master, he gave Lu Mu Yen a more dangerous feeling, and was definitely more difficult to deal with than Chu Han. After about an hour, seeing that the elders of the various sects had finished giving their orders, the elders of the heavenly secret palace looked at the color of the sky. Alright, the great array has activated. You can all prepare to teleport out. After a while, streaks of white light fell from the great array and teleported everyone here out of the competition space. After standing firm, Lu Mu Yen looked around. It was a wide reception platform, but not the one they had arrived at originally. There were many teleportation arrays in the reception platform right now, and a white-clothed person stood next to each teleportation platform. You can now all teleport to where you want to go according to your own needs. A white-clothed man on the reception platform said. Little beauty, are you going back with me to treat concubine mother's illness, or go home first? Si Nan quickly walked to Lu Mu Yen and asked with a gaudy smile on his face. Lu Mu Yen thought for a bit then said, I'll go and treat your concubine mother first. She only had 3 months. Since she promised Si Nan, then she naturally had to do it. So she would now go treat his concubine mother's condition. If she could treat it within 1 month, then she could use the 2 months left to arrange the Lu clan's private army. Alright, then I'll trouble you. Si Nan's eyes revealed a bit of gratitude and he said with a rare display of seriousness. Lu Mu Yen smiled and turned to Lu Mu Bai, saying, Big brother, go back first. I'll rush back after treating Si Nan's mother. Send my regards to Grandpa, Father and Mother. Alright. Take care of your own safety. Lu Mu Bai patted her shoulder and said. Afterwards, Lu Mu Yen stuffed some pills to Ling Fei Yang and Yi Qing Han, making the others very envious. Qing Han, see you again. Before she left, Lu Mu Yen smiled and looked at Yi Qing Han. Yi Qing Han pressed his thin lips together, then a handsome smile bloomed on his face. Mu Yen, see you again. Lu Mu Yen, do you want to go to our Rongzi kingdom to play as well? Luo Li had a sunny smile on his face and his eyes were filled with reluctance. In the future, now that they and Lu Mu Yen weren't in the same sect, they didn't know when they could meet again. I'll go when I have a chance in the future. Lu Mu Yen took out a few bottles of pills and stuffed them to him. Little wild cat, don't be lazy after you enter the sect. When it's time for the sect's grand competition, I still want to see you explode. Luo Li took the pills and rubbed it a few times. There was still Lu Mu Yan's warmth on it. He pretended to glare at her with a dark expression. Just wait and see how little master shows my might and defeat you. Alright. I'll wait for that. Although Lu Mu Yen often called him little wild cat, but she only treated him in this special way, so he was very happy within. If he knew that Lu Mu Yen was actually treating him like this truly because he was extremely similar to that little wild cat she once raised, had probably completely explode. After a few more greetings, Lu Mu Yen followed Si Nan into a large teleportation array. Chapter 326, Conspiracy surfaces. As soon as the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony ended, the news of the competition was sent back to all kingdoms. Yanzhou Kingdom also received accurate news. Your Majesty, there is news from the organizers of the competition. Yun Tianchen was discussing with the officials in the main hall when suddenly, a middle-aged man rushed in with an excited look. The emperor and the other ministers didn't blame him for being reckless when they heard that it was news from the organizers, and their eyes revealed some anticipation. They had already received news that Lu Mu Yen, Yun Zmo, and the others had never been eliminated and successfully entered the finals. The entire Yanzhou kingdom was boiling with exhilaration then. They originally wanted to celebrate grandly, but was stopped by the imperial ancestor, saying that it wouldn't be too late to hold it when it finished. What's the result of the finals? Did little Lu girl make it into the top 100? Yun Tianchen clasped the armrest of his throne tightly. Although he thought it was impossible, but he was still hopeful. After all, the best results was Yanzhou Kingdom ranked in the thousands. The fact that the several people could enter the top 500 not only shocked them, but it also made them unable to resist having higher hopes. "Why, Your Majesty, all have entered." The middle-aged man gasped a few times, then said excitedly. Yun Tianchen's eyes widened and the veins on his hands that clasped the armrest were popping. "What do you mean that they all entered?" "All 5 entered the top 100. The officials also turned their attention to the middle-aged man, expecting him to say good results. The middle-aged man swallowed his saliva and calmed his emotions as he said with an excited smile, "Yes. There is news from the organizers that all 5 from our Yanzhou Kingdom entered into the top 100 and young Miss Lu also won first place in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony." "What?" Yun Tianchen stood up from his throne in utter shock, a face filled with disbelief. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the middle-aged man with slight trembling and asked, You mean that little Lu girl won the championship of this tournament of hegemony?" "Yes, Your Majesty." The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said with a smile, this official also couldn't believe it and asked a few more times. The organizers were certain that the news is true and the reward for our Yanzhou Kingdom will all be sent over within 3 months, and they have allowed Yanzhou Kingdom to expand our territories and be promoted to a large second-ranked kingdom in the eastern region. Lu Zhantian and Lu Mou both looked shocked and happy. Their Yener actually won the first place in the competition, and Mu Bai also entered the top 100. It was all like a dream. The other officials went quiet for a moment, then instantly exploded. They congratulated Yun Tianchen and the father and son of the Lu clan, and their attitudes were also much more sincere and respectful. Lu Muyen won the first place in the tournament for hegemony. This meant that the Lu clan was bound to follow the rising tide and become the largest clan in Yanzhou Kingdom. As long as the brother and sister pair of the Lu clan continued to rise in their sects, Yanzhou Kingdom could even be promoted again to a large first-ranked kingdom in the eastern region because of them. At this time, even those who had grudges with the Lu clan had mixed emotions, but they all congratulated them sincerely. After all, with Yanzhou Kingdom growing stronger, it was beneficial to all of them. Of course, Gu Yuankai's eyes were filled with grimness, but he smiled kindly and joined the congratulatory teams. Yun Tianchen waved his arm excitedly and commanded, "Report this good news to the people of the entire empire, and when the 5 of them return to the empire, a 3-day celebration banquet will be held." "Yes." Yun Tianchen then gave another order to the celebration official and hurriedly left the Great Hall. He had to tell the news to Imperial Ancestor quickly. On the same day, the entire Yanzhou Kingdom knew that the former Miss Trash of the Lu clan had won the championship in the Continental Tournament for hegemony, and they were all shocked. The admiration for her also gradually increased, and the entire empire was filled with joy. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks especially because of Lu Muyen, Yanzhou Kingdom could not only expand their territory and be promoted to a large second-class kingdom, but could also obtain many resources rewarded by the organizers. This made the sword masters of the distinguished clans and imperial family all boil with excitement. Who would have known? Who would have known? Xiao Ziang took a sip from a wine cup. Lu Muyen, that prodigal woman, would actually win the championship. I thought that they would be amazing if they could even advance into the top 500. There was jealousy and pride in his tone, but not much envy. Yun Luo sat opposite him and smiled bitterly, yeah. When Lu Muyen was selected by the imperial teacher and the principal for one of the 5 spots, many people even objected and waited to see the Lu clan's joke. Now is a real slap to their faces. Yun Lan and those boys should have been exposed to that girl's light this time. Xiao Ziang snorted. His several brothers and good friends were all going to sects now, but he still wandered around Yanzhou Kingdom. He huffed, but he was also proud and happy for them inwardly. Yun Luo sighed, is there a need to say such an obvious thing? These people had a good relationship with Lu Muyen. That woman differentiated clearly between love and hate and was sure to take care of them. Lu Muyen was being discussed in many places in the imperial capital and she had become the protagonist of a magical story where a trash turned into a genius. In a large hall of the palace, the usually calm eyes of the imperial ancestor were also filled with excitement and joy, and he laughed a few times. Good. 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 After talking to Yun Tianchen about the future preferential treatment of the Lu clan, he calmed down and said, since the little Lu girl gave us such a surprise, we can also start to get rid of the Gu clan. They had already grasped the news that the Gu clan was actually a spy from another kingdom. They didn't do anything before because they wanted to wait for an opportunity. Now, it had obviously arrived. Yes. Grandson will arrange it now. Yun Tianchen nodded with a ruthless look in his eyes. At the same time, several men in black cloaks were sitting in a secret room of the Gu clan. Humph, Master told you to get rid of the Lu siblings long ago. But you rubbish not only destroyed our army, but also let them grow to this level. You deserve to die. The black-clothed sword monarch cultivation base man slammed the wooden table beside him into pieces with his palm, evidently exceptionally angry. Gu Yuankai's expression changed and he asked respectfully, Envoy. Is our plan still going as usual? Our empire's plan has already been brewing for so long and will naturally not change because of Lu Mu Yen, this variable. On the contrary, I have received news from Master that the plan will begin ahead of schedule. The man's voice was filled with grimness. Before the Lu brother and sister pair returns, the plans on the border has already begun. Gu Yuankai was stunned for a moment, then joy appeared on his face. He had long hated the Lu clan and Lu Mu Yen to death. If the plan was implemented, he would be able to take revenge. Then will we offend the Sword sect or the 8 Extremes sect for this? Humph, so what if we offend them? Are they going to interfere in the war between two kingdoms? If we kill them both, they can only recognize this as a dumb loss. After all, neither of them has reported to the sects yet. The man paused, then snorted coldly. This is also one of the reasons why we must implement the plan in advance. If we wait for the two to grow in the sects and make Yanzhou Kingdom a large first-rank kingdom, then our annexation plan would probably fail. The man sitting in the main seat was filled with sternness. Master will never tolerate such a thing happening. Although the 6 major sects were terrifying, but it was impossible for them to interfere much for 2 dead people. This time even if they sacrifice a few strong sword sovereign powerhouses, they must still be killed. Fortunately, the 2 Lu siblings hadn't entered the sect and accumulated personal networks, otherwise, it would be troublesome if a superpower kingdom or other regional large kingdoms interfered. Lu Mu Yen, who exited the teleportation array with Si Nan and arrived at Ruyan Palace, did not know that a conspiracy that had been brewing for many years was unfolding. Chapter 327, Si Nan's hate. As soon as Si Nan arrived at the palace, he took Lu Mu Yen to a remote but quiet and gorgeous palace. Lu Mu Yen also hoped to get rid of the poison as soon as possible and go back, so she let him hurry. When walking into a bedroom of the palace, they happened to meet a middle-aged man wearing a bright yellow dragon robe walking out with a look of excitement and exhaustion on his face. When he saw Si Nan, he paused, then his eyes burst with excitement and he shouted cautiously, Nanair, you're back. He had just heard that his son had entered the top 10 of the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony and he couldn't help but be excited. When Si Nan saw the man, he returned to his heartless cynicism. He took out a gold foil folding fan and fanned it, and his androgynous handsome face was filled with sarcasm. Aya, what kind of wind is blowing today? It actually blew Emperor Father, who has a host of problems every day over here. He called him Emperor Father, but there was sarcasm in his expression and eyes, and there wasn't much respect in his tone. Lu Mu Yen stood beside Si Nan without speaking or greeting. She could see that Si Nan had a kind of disdainful hatred for this emperor. Maybe it was a hatred that rose after the respect and love he once had, so it was so strong that even she could feel his resentment. As a friend, even if the other party was the emperor of a superpower kingdom, she would still definitely be on Si Nan's side. Moreover, looking at the current situation, Si Nan's concubine mother's poison was definitely inextricable from the emperor. Lu Mu Yen was more disgusted with scumbags, even her uncle wasn't pleasing to her eye. If it weren't to help her aunt live a more pleasant life and let her aunt learn how to be self-reliant, otherwise she would have cleaned up the so-called emperor of Yenzhou Kingdom who supposedly had been forced to do as he did. On one hand, these men said that they loved a certain woman deeply, but on the other hand, they had to constantly accept other women. They also claimed that in order to balance the power in the palace, they were just pretending to express their affection, even if the woman that they loved was hurt by it. But for what? Situ-yi, the emperor of Ruyan Kingdom, heard the sarcasm in Si Nan's voice, but his expression didn't change, as if he had known it would happen. He sighed and said, "Whether you believe it or not, your concubine mother being poisoned is the last thing I want to see. Then go and kill that mother and son pair to vent your anger for my concubine mother." Si Nan immediately put away his smile and said coldly. Situ-yi's eyes constricted, furrowed his brows, and said, "There's still no evidence for whether concubine Xian really poisoned her or not. If you kill her just based on your speculation, how can you convince the public? Besides, Yuer is your own biological elder brother. I don't expect you brothers to be friendly with each other, but I don't want to see you kill each other." Seeing Si Nan's face getting colder, Situ-yi immediately added, "If your mother can wake up or you can find enough evidence, Jin will punish concubine Xian as you wish. Humph, in the end, you just can't let go of that mother and son. Even if they are murderers, you'll still protect them, hypocrite." Si Nan snorted coldly, grabbed Lu Muyan's arm, and quickly entered the imperial bedroom. How obvious was the evidence back then? Concubine Xian, that woman, just cried and knelt outside of the hall for a few days, then that man really believed her innocence. It truly was disgusting him. Situ-yi's face sank. The woman he loved the most had been in a coma for a decade. If they couldn't find a cure, then she would slowly lose her vitality, while his most beloved son regarded him as a beast. His heart was as if it were being cut with a knife. Concubine Xian had been with him for so many years. Even if he didn't love her, there were still feelings. Most importantly, the evidence wasn't enough right now, so how could she be convicted? The second prince was also one of his favorite sons. Although he wasn't as good as Si Nan, but he had still been pampered by him for so many years, so how could he go and kill them with his own hands? He closed his eyes in pain. Then he suddenly remembered something and asked the leader of the secret guard behind him, who was the woman who entered the palace bedroom with Nanae earlier. Although his son was frivolous with a poisonous tongue on the surface, but he knew that it was just a way to hide himself. This was the first time he saw his son bring a woman here, so he couldn't help but be curious. Reporting to Emperor. That woman is called Lu Muyan, a person from the small kingdom of Yenzhou in the eastern region. The leader of the secret guard saw Situ-yi furrow his brows and continued, but this time, she amazed everyone. She not only has become the black horse of this session's Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony, but also won the first place. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. As early as when Si Nan led her here, did he already find out the details of Lu Muyan? First place. The shock on Situ-yi's eyes replaced his gloom, then asked after a bit, "What did Nanae bring her here for?" Reporting to Emperor, "This has not been found yet." Forget it, he can do whatever he wants to do recently. In 3 more months, he will go to Heavenly's secret palace to report. It will be difficult for me to meet him again. Situ-yi sighed, turned to look at the 2 figures that had already disappeared, then turned around and walked out of the palace. Since that woman could win the first place in the tournament for hegemony, then she must have her own abilities. As long as she wasn't a woman of unknown origin, then he wouldn't interfere with his son's developments. After entering the bedroom, Lu Muyan saw that there was a millennium-old warm jade bed at the very innermost corner, on which a stunning woman who was pale and bloodless laid, but was still exceptionally beautiful. "She is my concubine mother." Si Nan looked at the woman on the bed, his cold eyes melted away with warmth. Lu Muyan nodded, "I'll take a look first." After speaking, she went straight to the big bed and sat down, picked up the woman's wrist and began to feel her pulse. After a while, her willow brows furrowed slightly, and she changed the hand and felt the pulse again. She breathed a sigh of relief after a bit and said, Fortunately, the poison hasn't entered the heart veins, otherwise even celestial immortals would have difficulty saving her. Sinan loosened his tightly clenched fists and asked excitedly, "Is there any help for my concubine mother? Did someone protect her heart with a seal before?" Lu Mu Yen asked without answering. Yes. The enshrined chief physician of the imperial family used a secret skill to seal the heart of concubine mother a decade ago when she was poisoned. It's a pity that he's been studying for 10 years but still can't solve the water illusion nether dream. Sinan sighed. Lu Mu Yan's eyes revealed a trace of understanding. It's also thanks to his seal that your concubine mother has survived until now. I can cure the poison, but I need to prepare some spiritual herbs to refine a pill, and I don't have time to study this seal to break it. So ask that enshrined physician to break it. The seal placed by that person used a special secret technique. Although she could break it, but it would take several days. She didn't want to waste it on this kind of thing. She still had to rush back to Yanzhou Kingdom. No problem. If the enshrined physician heard you can cure the poison, he would definitely come find you personally. Hearing that Lu Mu Yen could detoxify it, Sinan's emotions that were affected by Situ Yi also felt better. Help me pay attention to any news from Yanzhou Kingdom. I've been feeling a little uneasy recently. Lu Mu Yen said after thinking for a bit. She just had a bad premonition and after a little predicting, figured that something might happen at home in the near future. However, they would be safe within a month, so she asked Sinan to investigate first. Alright, I'll arrange for someone to find out what's going on in Yanzhou Kingdom recently. Sinan nodded in agreement with a serious expression. By the way, do you want to live in this palace or find somewhere else? Sinan asked. Lu Mu Yen said without hesitation, just stay here. In the next 3 days, I'll open up a few acupuncture points for your concubine mother for the ease of the coming treatments. Alright, I'll get someone to prepare a room for you. Go collect the spiritual herbs I want as soon as possible. I want to use it to refine the elixir for the water illusion nether dream. These spiritual herbs must be delivered to me within 5 days at most. Lu Mu Yen handed a written list to Sinan. Sinan took it over and looked at it with a solemn expression. Alright, I'll definitely find a way to get them and deliver it within 5 days. Chapter 328, Cure Water Illusion Nether Dream. Lu Mu Yen used the green mist in her dantian every day to guide her spiritual energy to dredge the meridians that had been inactive for a long time for Sinan's concubine mother. As soon as she finished her work and sat down that day, Sinan walked in with a man in a crimson robe. Mu Yen, this is Lu Wenqing, the enshrined chief physician of the imperial family. Sinan introduced to Lu Mu Yen, who was currently making tea as soon as he entered the door. There was a hint of intimacy in his tone, and it could be seen that he had a good relationship with the physician. Lu Mu Yen raised her head with a faint smile and said, "Physician Lu, please take a seat." Then she continued to brew tea with movements like flowing water. With 2 more people opposite, she gave both of them a cup of fragrant tea. Good tea. Lu Qing took a sip from the teacup and said leisurely. Lu Mu Yen held the teacup in both hands, then raised her eyes to look at Lu Qing. He appeared about 30 years old, handsome in appearance, and had a sense of elegance and grace all around. He should be a man who enjoyed life very much. He didn't restrain his aura, and his cultivation base was initial phase sword sovereign, but Lu Mu Yen felt a possible aura of a spirit flame that seemed to exist in him. His strength was definitely much higher than that of his cultivation base. Mu Yen, how is concubine mother's condition? Sinan asked eagerly. Your concubine mother's body has been eroded by poison except for her heart veins. Now, I must first remove the poison in her blood veins, then release the seal in her heart veins. Shall then take the pill I refine, and she can restore her health as long as you nourish her a little longer. Except, after waking up, her body would probably not be as good as before. Lu Mu Yen didn't hide it. Lu Qing's calm eyes looked at Lu Mu Yen lightly. I wonder how young Miss Lu is going to remove the poison from the imperial concubine's blood. Doesn't Physician Lu know? Even if others can't get rid of the poison, but I believe that Physician Lu can. Lu Mu Yen looked at the calm man in front of him and said with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. She caught Lu Qing's gentle look when he was looking at the person on the bed as soon as he entered the door. Although he quickly curbed it, but it was a genuine expression, that of a strong love. She guessed that such a high-level alchemist with a spirit flame wouldn't stay here if it wasn't for love. What do you know? Lu Qing narrowed his eyes dangerously. Lu Mu Yen hooked her lips up and smiled. Of course I know you have a spirit flame. Since Lu Qing had a spirit flame, then she could save a lot of trouble. With free labor, how could she not use it? Young Miss Lu really has good eyesight. Lu Qing's expression changed, then asked after pondering, but why should I believe that you can solve the water illusion nether dream after removing the toxins from her whole body? As one of the 10 wonder poisons, the water illusion nether dream wasn't like other poisons that could be detoxified by removing all the toxins in the body. Instead, it could only be detoxified by eliminating the root cause in the body by special methods. Otherwise, even if the toxins in the body were removed, the venom would still spread all over the Bodhis meridians within a year. It was a pity that the cures to the Tianling continent's 10 wonder poisons were all extinct, otherwise he wouldn't have spent 10 years and couldn't completely detoxify the poison. No reason, but you can only trust me now. Lu Mu Yen glanced at the stunning woman that was lying down. If you don't detoxify it, even if you seal her heart veins, she can only live 3 more months at most. What? Si Nan turned pale, turned to look at Lu Qing and asked, Uncle Lu, is this true? It wasn't that he didn't believe Lu Mu Yen, but he didn't dare accept this fact. Yes. Lu Qing closed his eyes to hide the pain in his eyes, then replied with one word solemnly. Si Nan clenched his hands, then released them, and asked Lu Mu Yen in a daze, Mu Yen, please. Lu Mu Yen actually didn't expect Si Nan, who usually appeared to have a poisonous mouth and a dark heart, to have such a pure filial heart. She nodded, don't worry, as long as Great Master Lu cooperates well, I have more than 80% confidence that the poison will be cured. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the 10 wonder poisons on this continent existed in the immortal cultivation world too, and even the names were similar. The cures here were extinct, however she happened to know the cure. Alright, this one Lu believes in young Miss Lu, order as you will for how I should cooperate. Lu Qing's eyes deepened, and he made a decision. In any case, he could only give it a shot. He had already investigated Lu Mu Yan's details. Not only could she cure her own terminal meridian's constitution, but could also cure Yi Qinglu, who was carrying a fetal poison since she was born and wouldn't live past the age of 18. This alone showed that her medical skills were extraordinary. Most importantly was that she actually discovered his spirit flame without him using elemental energy. Even a strong sword venerable powerhouse wouldn't be able to have such sharp senses. And he could only trust her. He couldn't watch the woman he loved die. Let alone 80% of certainty, even if it wasn't higher than half, he was still willing to try. Lu Mu Yen nodded, then said to Si Nan, have you found the spiritual herbs I asked you to find? I've found them. With a thought, a pile of spiritual herbs fell on the table. Lu Mu Yen swept them with her eyes, and they were indeed all what she needed. After putting them away, she drank a few cups of tea, got up, then said, I'm going to my room now to refine pills. Great Master Lu will use the spirit flame to expel the poison for the imperial concubine first. 3 days later, I'll come out to treat her. All right. Lu Qing said decisively. He had used the spirit flame to expel toxins from his beloved's body before, but unfortunately, the root of the water illusion nether dream wasn't completely cured. In only 1 year, the venom eroded her whole body again, and was even more poisonous, so he didn't dare do such a thing again. Because of that one experience, it was now easier to clear it, and 3 days was just enough. 3 days later, Lu Mu Yen returned to the palace bedroom and saw Lu Qing sitting on a chair beside the bed with a pale face, looking at the woman lying down with a very soft expression. Is the toxin removed? She asked as she approached. Lu Qing appeared tired, but there was a little more expectation in his eyes. Removed. Can young Miss Lu completely cure the water illusion nether dream today? You can lift the seal on her heart now. Alright. Lu Qing used the last of his energy to release the seal. His physical strength and elemental energy were overdrawn. He quickly took a pill and sat aside to rest, but his eyes were fixed on Lu Muyan's movements. Lu Muyan ignored him, then after thinking about it, took out an array flag and set up an array in the palace to prevent outsiders from affecting her detoxification. A flash of strangeness crossed Lu Qing's eyes when he saw her arrange an array, and he also revealed some appreciation. His elemental energy was overdrawn right now. If a powerhouse came to disturb the detoxification, he wouldn't be able to fight at all. This girl's temperament and vigilance didn't look to belong to a 17-year-old girl at all. Lu Muyan fed a pill to Si Nan's concubine mother, took out a set of golden needles and performed acupuncture first. Then she finally inserted a mutant flame carrying a purple gold flame into the other party's body little by little to search. After about 4 hours, she finally found a small blue light spot in a small corner of Si Nan's concubine mother's internal organs. She quickly devoured it with her spirit flame, then fed her a pill and laid her body down. After advancing to peak phase Sword Monarch, she did feel a lot easier when she treated others. Alright, the water illusion nether dream has been completely removed from her body. She'll wake up in 3 days at most. Lu Muyan exhaled a turbid breath and said with a light smile. Lu Qing's eyes burst with pleasant surprise, then he quickly stepped forward to check. After a while, with ecstasy on his calm face, he bowed to Lu Muyan. Thank you, young Miss Lu. A mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Lu Qing will remember this life-saving grace of detoxification and will definitely return it in the future. Lu Muyan smiled lightly and didn't refuse his words of repayment, but furrowed her brows as she looked outside the palace with cold eyes. Now let's deal with the flies outside first. One different Lu Muyan's Lu is, Lu Qing's Lu is, same pronunciation though. Chapter 329, War Begins. Lu Qing's eyes were filled with coldness as he swept over the figures outside the palace. As expected, Lu Muyan had foresight, otherwise the treatment would have been disturbed by these people halfway. Where's Si Nan? Lu Muyan heard the noise outside but there was no sound of Si Nan, so she turned to ask Lu Qing. Lu Qing replied, he went to check the news of Yanzhou Kingdom. It seems that something happened. I see. Lu Muyan rubbed her chin, looked at the beauty on the bed and asked, after she wakes up, will you take her away? Lu Qing froze, obviously not expecting her to ask such a question, then smiled bitterly. You saw through it? Does she know? Lu Muyan nodded. In her opinion, this man being able to give up his future and stay by the side of a woman who was likely to die at any moment for 10 years, was something that not everyone could do. Either way, he was definitely more trustworthy than that bright yellow figure outside. She probably doesn't. We're martial brother and sister. During a training experience, she met Situ Yi and was taken to the palace. When I found her, she had already given birth to little Nan. Lu Qing scoffed at himself, although she lived in suffering before, but she never thought of leaving that man. How could I take her away? Maybe everything will be different when she wakes up this time. Lu Muyan smiled lightly. Lu Qing didn't know that the person who fell under the water illusion nether dream actually knew everything that happened when they're asleep. The pills she fed her afterwards not only would help her wake up as soon as possible, but would also help her to deepen her memory of the past decade. One man only came to see her occasionally, and didn't deal with the person who harmed her, still favoring the harem beauties, while one man guarded her for 10 years as if to him it were only one day. Who was the most sincere to Si Nan's concubine mother? This time, she used her life to verify it. Ha, I hope. Lu Qing lowered his head to restrain the pain in his eyes. This is the most complete collection of spiritual herbs on the continent. Your medical skills are so brilliant, and you're a grade 3 alchemist. I believe you can use it. Lu Qing recovered his composure, and he took out a jade slip and handed it to Lu Muyan. This can be considered a thank you gift. If there's a need in the future, as long as I can help, I'll definitely do my best. Lu Mu Yen took the jade slip and used her mental energy to sweep through it. Her eyes lowered with a hint of pleasant surprise. She didn't expect Lu Qing to have such a complete introduction to spiritual herbs, even accompanied by images. Many of the spiritual herbs in the jade slip had different names to the immortal cultivation world, but their familiar appearances jumped out to her, which was indeed useful to her. Thank you. Lu Mu Yen accepted it without being polite, then after thinking about it, took out a jade pendant and handed it to Lu Qing, saying, if she agrees to leave with you and you have nowhere to go, you can go to the Lu clan. Regardless of whether Lu Qing will go to the Lu clan or not, it could be regarded as tying a good knot between him and the Lu clan. Alright. Seeing Lu Qing put away the jade pendant, Lu Mu Yan's lips rose in an arc. She raised her head and looked out the door coldly, then with a thought, the array flag returned to her hand. Immediately, Situ Yi led people to barge in, and when he saw Lu Mu Yen and Lu Qing, he paused, his eyes filled with surprise. I wonder what Emperor is doing here. Lu Qing glanced at Situ Yi blankly. Situ Yi didn't care about Lu Qing's attitude, and said with a smile, I didn't expect Great Master Lu to be here. I received news from the secret guards that someone might want to persecute Qianer, so I brought people here. Is the person who Emperor said had bad intentions, me? Lu Mu Yan's expression turned cold, it's only me and Great Master Lu here. Situ Yi didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to be this bold, but this woman was his son's sweetheart and a pupil of the 8 Extremes sect that they managed to dig to them after so much effort, so he naturally wouldn't blame her for any small mistakes. Of course Shen is not referring to young Miss Lu. Situ Yi smiled lightly, then the conversation took a sharp turn, but I wonder why young Miss Lu is here along with Great Master Lu, and also arranged an array to prevent others from entering. In his opinion, Lu Mu Yen couldn't arrange such an array, and he implied that it was Lu Qing who he was questioning. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Just as the two were about to answer, suddenly, a cold voice came from behind. They were all invited by me to treat concubine mother. You have no right to question them. Si Nan walked in quickly with a cold expression and blocked in front of Lu Mu Yen and Lu Qing. Although Situ Yi knew that his son always behaved like this towards him, but he was very displeased. Then how is the treatment of your concubine mother? This, you don't need to worry about. Si Nan immediately revealed a happy smile, and he approached Situ Yi and said, you better go to the palace of that concubine Xian quickly. If you go late, you may not be able to save the life of your precious son. What did you do? Situ Yi's expression sank, and he asked with anger, he's your blood-related elder brother. He completely believed that Si Nan would kill Siyu. My concubine mother only gave birth to me. Si Nan snorted disdainfully. You're really unreasonable. Situ Yi took a deep breath to suppress the urge to slap Si Nan, flicked his sleeves, turned around, and left with the others. Si Nan's eyes flashed with sadness, and the expectations he had left for his father in his heart completely dissipated. Mu Yen, has concubine mother's poison been cured? He pressed his lips together and asked. Cured. If there's no accident, she'll wake up tonight. Lu Mu Yen had never seen Si Nan's desolate look like just now, but she couldn't comfort him either. What this man needed wasn't comfort nor persuasion. Si Nan's peach blossom-shaped eyes burst into joy, it's really cured, concubine mother's finally waking up. Lu Mu Yen reached out and patted Si Nan's shoulder, I'm tired now, I'll go back to my room to rest first. Go see your concubine mother. She could see that Si Nan and Lu Qing had things to say to each other, so she left on purpose. As the night grew darker, there was a knock at Lu Mu Yan's door. Need something? Lu Mu Yen opened the door and welcomed Si Nan in. Si Nan sat down and said, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Just tell me where I can help in the future. Then he handed an interspatial ring to Lu Mu Yen, this is a material thank you. I'll keep the personal favor in my heart first and use it when you need it. All right. Lu Mu Yen accepted the interspatial ring without hesitation. In addition to the 10,000 spiritual stones inside, there were also many precious spiritual herbs. By the way, Yanzhou Kingdom and the Paluo Kingdom are at war. Si Nan handed Lu Mu Yen a copy of some fresh news. Lu Mu Yen took it over and read it once, her face growing more and more solemn. According to the information you've collected, Paluo Kingdom's starting war has been planned for no less than a decade? Yes. Not only that, but there are so many sword masters of high cultivation bases. It seems that they have some kind of energy that can forcibly improve one's cultivation base. Si Nan said with furrowed brows. Lu Mu Yan's eyes grew colder. It seemed that the people who colluded with the Gu clan to attempt to assassinate her and her brothers were the ones from Paluo Kingdom. Paluo Kingdom choosing to go to war at this time was probably because she and her elder brother achieved good results in the continental tournament for hegemony and were also attracted by a sect, which made them feel a sense of crisis. How's the current battle situation? Si Nan replied, the situation in Yanzhou Kingdom isn't optimistic. Both your paternal grandfather and your father went to war in person and rushed to the frontier. Originally, both sides were evenly matched at the beginning of the war, but since those mysterious men in black appeared, the situation has turned one-sided. Now Paluo Kingdom has the upper hand. Si Nan said truthfully. Lu Mu Yen narrowed her eyes, looked up, and said, Si Nan, I need your help now. All right. Si Nan nodded without hesitation. Chapter 330, Return to Yanzhou Kingdom. The next day, Si Nan's concubine mother woke up and Lu Mu Yen checked her thoroughly. The water illusion Nether Dream's poison has been completely cured. Now, your imperial concubine's body will be very weak, but it will recover after a period of conditioning. Lu Mu Yen said with a smile. Murong Qian had been sleeping for a decade, so her body was still very weak, and her pale face was even softer with a slight smile. Thank you, Miss Lu, for saving my life. Imperial concubine, there's no need to be polite. Si Nan is my friend and we have already made a deal, so you don't owe me anything. Murong Qian was stunned for a moment, and there was a gentle smile on her lips. She liked Lu Mu Yan's frankness even more. Regardless, you saved me, so a thank you is necessary. Imperial concubine, you just woke up and you still need more rest. I've left a bottle of pills to replenish your essence. You can take it for a month and you'll see its effects. Lu Mu Yen took out a bottle of pills and tossed it to Lu Qing. Lu Qing put it away without opening it. He recognized Lu Mu Yan's medical skills highly. I heard from little Nan that young Miss Lu is leaving today. The kingdom from is now at war with another kingdom. All the members of my family have gone to the battlefield, so I'm naturally no exception. Lu Mu Yan's expression was a little grim. I'm also about to tell concubine mother and Uncle Lu about this. I'll accompany Lu Mu Yen to the battlefield to help out today. Si Nan pursed his lips and looked at Lu Qing, saying, I'll trouble Uncle Lu to take care of concubine mother during this time. If Emperor Father comes to visit, Uncle Lu can say that due to you helping to treat concubine mother, you cannot meet him. I'll leave a part of the secret guards to protect this place. Si Nan paused, then said with a cold expression, the fact that concubine mother has woken up, don't let anyone know first. Murong Qian naturally heard the resentment and indifference towards that man from her son's tone, but she didn't stop it. 10 years had allowed her to see a person clearly. After waking up, she no longer had that man in her heart, and she would no longer break her wings for him and be locked in the cage that is the palace like a canary. After her son goes to the heavenly secret palace, she would also leave this palace where she paid her pure youth and innocence. You can go. This is what should be done. Murong Qian nodded in response. She could see that her son was interested in Lu Mu Yen. Since the two wouldn't be in the same sect in the future, going to the battlefield together now was perfect to raise their relationship. She still had a good impression of Lu Mu Yen, this stunning, straightforward woman. Si Nan was ready long before, from when he received the news. After chatting idly for a little bit, he would leave the palace with Lu Mu Yen. Not only did Si Nan follow this time, but he also brought 12 sword monarchs and 20 sword kings together. These 30 people were all secret guards trained by Si Nan and Lu Qing, and they didn't use those of the imperial family. In Yenzhou Kingdom's palace, Yun Tianchen stood in front of the imperial ancestor and reported the battle situation. The imperial ancestor's expression appeared grim. There were originally 3 sword sovereigns, and now with Lu Mubai and 3 others, there were a total of 7. Of them, 3 guarded the empire, and the other 4 rushed to the battlefield to support. After all, the other party also apparently had 5 sword sovereigns appear. Do you have any news from little Lu girl? Yun Tianchen replied, no news for now. I didn't expect that despite being so well prepared, the Gu clan and their elites still all escaped. It was truly a miscalculation. The imperial ancestor sighed. No one would have thought that the Gu clan had already made preparations to escape, that there were 6 sword monarchs in the mansion to help out, and all the secret guards of the imperial family that went to the Gu clan would all be lost. Yun Tianchen revealed a sad expression. Those royal secret guards were all carefully cultivated by them for many years, but they didn't expect half to have died in the hands of the Gu clan. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. If we continue like this, Yenzhou Kingdom would be in danger. Yun Tianchen smiled bitterly. I can only do my best to fight. If all really is lost in the end, then it's either the fish dies or the net gets torn one. Although Yenzhou was a small kingdom, but they weren't powerless to fight back. If they really were going to be destroyed, even if it was risking their lives, then they would still use their trump card to severely damage their enemy. The two discussed a few more countermeasures. As soon as Yun Tianchen left the palace where the imperial ancestor was, there was someone who came to report that Lu Mu Yen was back, and also brought along a group of strong people. Yun Tianchen was extremely excited. He was an emperor who worked hard to rule, so naturally he didn't want to see the scene of his country's ruin. He wasn't the only one who was responsible for the rise and fall of his kingdom. With Lu Mu Yen back, he was inexplicably relieved. Lu Mu Yen led Si Nan to meet Yun Tianchen. Uncle, this is Si Nan who's come to help our Yenzhou. Lu Mu Yen introduced Si Nan to Yun Tianchen with a light smile, but didn't mention his kingdom. With Si Nan's current attitude, he seemed to want to leave the imperial family. Yun Tianchen naturally knew who Si Nan was, and his attitude was very friendly. It's a great honor for Yenzhou Kingdom to have the 5th prince join us, we are extremely grateful. I'm friends with Mu Yen, so it's only right to come help out. Si Nan smiled, his meaning very clear. Today he came to help, not for Yenzhou Kingdom, but because of Lu Mu Yen. How about you all take a day to rest before going to the battlefield? Yun Tianchen naturally hoped that they would rush to the battlefield as soon as possible, but he still said very considerately. How could Lu Mu Yen not be able to guess Yun Tianchen's thoughts? She smiled lightly and asked, Emperor Uncle, how is the battle at the frontier? Did my elder brother and the others arrive? The battle situation at the frontier isn't satisfactory. Many mysterious sword kings and sword monarchs suddenly appeared in Paluo Kingdom. With their addition, our side is simply unable to fight directly. Yun Tianchen sighed, Mubai, ZMO, and the others have already rushed over, but I heard that the other party seems to have 5 sword sovereign powerhouses, so our chances of winning aren't big. As for your maternal grandfather, he's already overseeing the frontier, but it's useless if we have no high-level powerhouses in hand. In front of strength, strategy isn't that useful anymore. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows. It seemed that the battle situation had indeed exceeded expectations. Your Majesty, there is an urgent report. At this moment, a guard hurriedly walked in and delivered a battle report respectfully. Yun Tianchen took it and read it, his eyes filled with shock and anger. Seeing Lu Mu Yen staring at him, he handed her the battle report. Lu Mu Yen took the battle report and looked at it. Her furrowed brows knitted even deeper, and she read the news out loud. 10 cities have fallen in the border. Old General Lu was injured by a sneak attack by a sword monarch, but fortunately Lu Mu Bai and the 3 others arrived on time and rescued him, otherwise he almost died for the kingdom. They're courting death. She tossed the battle report back to Yun Tianchen with a rare cruelty in her expression. The people of Paluo Kingdom sure planned well to even target her maternal grandfather and father. It completely stepped on her baseline and touched what was considered her reverse scale on a dragon that no one should touch too. Emperor Uncle, the 10 fallen cities are inseparable from the Gu clan colluding from inside with the outside. The imperial family hadn't dealt with the Gu clan for so long before. Are you still thinking about your old relationship with concubine Gu? She felt a surge of anger inwardly, and her attitude towards Yun Tianchen was also a lot colder. Yun Tianchen immediately retorted with embarrassment, "How could I have any feelings of an old relationship with concubine Gu? I've already discovered that something was wrong with the Gu clan, and after bringing her into the palace, the person who favored concubine Gu wasn't me at all, just a secret guard that I arranged who looks like me." On one hand, he confessed it to appease Lu Muyen, and on the other hand, it was also an explanation to Lu Moz. Lu Muyen looked at him in surprise, not at all expecting that such a thing was occurring. One idiom meaning to fight desperately in the end until either the enemies, fish, dies or they, themselves, die, net torn. 2. A reminder that, ni lin, means reversed scale or a scale that grew incorrectly. Figuratively, it's a scale on a dragon one cannot touch. It's also used to describe a person's weak point, but not necessarily used with a negative connotation, and instead, in a more you touch, you die sense. It's usually used as a kind of threat. Chapter 331. By a hair's breadth, Yun Tianchen was actually very distressed. Originally, everything was very secretive and perfect, yet who would have thought that so many sword monarch powerhouses would suddenly appear to destroy it all? Lu Muyen thought deeply, then asked, "Emperor Uncle, can the teleportation array in the palace be used to teleport to other cities?" The teleportation array is mainly used to communicate with the outside. There's no direct teleportation point in the empire. Yun Tianchen sighed. Their Yanzhou kingdom was only a small kingdom in the eastern region. The arrangement of the teleportation array required a grade 4 array master to complete. The teleportation array in the imperial palace was all arranged by several grade 4 array masters from superpower kingdoms that they invited to come. Where did they have the power to set up teleportation arrays in other places? Lu Muyen furrowed her brows. It would be too troublesome to have no teleportation arrays. "I'll arrange too, you prepare the resources." Yun Tianchen's eyes widened, and it took a while for him to manage to say, "You can set up teleportation arrays?" He heard the news that Lu Muyen's array attainments were very high, but he absolutely couldn't believe that she could set up a teleportation array. "Yeah." Lu Muyen nodded, took out a jade slip, copied a list of the required materials on it, then tossed it to Yun Tianchen. "Emperor Uncle, can you find all these materials today?" Although Yun Tianchen was very puzzled, but he also believed that she wouldn't joke about this kind of thing right now, so he checked it. "Although these materials are precious, but we should be able to gather it together with the help of the imperial family and the distinguished clans today." It wasn't that Yanzhou Kingdom didn't want to build more teleportation arrays, but it was because they were just unable to invite those grade 4 array masters, so they had no choice. Now that Lu Muyen could do it, he would definitely do his best to gather the materials. It was also for the sake of the future. After Yun Tianchen hurriedly left, Si Nan looked at Lu Muyen in surprise and asked, "You've already advanced to grade 4 array master? Could it be that only a grade 4 array master can set up a teleportation array?" Lu Muyen asked without answering. Si Nan raised an eyebrow. "You really hide deeply. Even a grade 4 array master may not be able to set up a teleportation array. You must be proficient in the path of arrays and comprehend some spatial laws." This woman's array attainments actually reached such a level, it truly was frightening. "It's all right." Lu Muyen smiled humbly. The corners of Si Nan's lips twitched. What did she mean by "it's all right"? It was obviously extremely amazing, all right? This woman had always hidden herself. If it wasn't for the fact that the kingdom was in danger, she probably wouldn't have exposed the strength of a grade 4 array master. Just how old was she? She actually had such capabilities. How could those grade 3 array masters that had been dedicated to arrays for decades bear this? By the way, don't go to the border with me for the time being. I'm afraid that those people will have a secret plan to attack the imperial capital. Lu Muyen thought for a bit then said. Si Nan's peach blossom-shaped eyes narrowed slightly. I heard that there are many mysterious powerhouses on the border. It's too unsafe for you to go by yourself. He was called by Lu Muyen to participate in the war, but he didn't want to protect Yanzhou Palace. It was more exciting to go to the battlefield. I can rest assured with you guarding the imperial capital of Yanzhou Kingdom. After I go to set up the teleportation arrays, you can directly teleport over. Lu Muyen blinked and said. Si Han sighed and knew that Lu Muyen's concerns were right. All the people I brought will follow you to the battlefield. You leave 5 sword monarchs. I'll take the rest. Otherwise, if the sword masters of Paluo Kingdom attack the imperial capital, you won't be able to fight them alone. Lu Muyen said solemnly. With Gu Yuankai's sinister temperament, it was impossible for him to not bury any hidden dangers, so she felt more at ease by keeping Si Nan here. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, alright, when you need me, send me a message and I'll go. Si Nan nodded. That afternoon, Yun Tianchen had collected enough materials for 3 sets of arrays. Lu Muyen didn't delay and rode Bing Ji, with the materials, and rushed towards the frontier. Before leaving, she received a military token given by Yun Tianchen, so she set up a teleportation array in a city half-distance from the imperial capital to the frontier, making it easier for future facilitation of support and to shorten the distance. After all, the speed of a Tier 8 demonic beast like Bing Ji wasn't available in Yanzhou Kingdom. Even for her, it took half a month to rush from the imperial capital to the border. As long as a teleportation array was set up in the 3 cities from the imperial capital to the border, when the time came, teleportation would be uninterrupted, and the reinforcements would only take a day to arrive, which was more conducive to war. 10 days later, Lu Muyen was about to go to the next city to set up a second teleportation array when she heard a rush of drumming just outside the city. Her gaze turned cold, and she directed Bing Ji to fly over. Outside the city, 2 young men in moon-white armor held a long sword and fought bloody battles with 3 mysterious men in black cloaks. The cultivation bases of the 3 were all at peak phase sword monarch and they formed a seamless sword array. The 2 people surrounded by them were only at middle phase sword monarch cultivation base, and it was already amazing to have resisted for so long. Lu Muting, now beg for mercy, open the gates and surrender, and this king will let you go. A big man with bare arms and tattoos said arrogantly with a big laugh. The white armor on the sword masters surrounded by the 3 men in black had already been stained red with blood. He raised his head and a face similar to Lu Muyen's was exposed in the air, but it was more resolute and handsome, not at all feminine. Left King Luo, I live and die with this city, what's there to fear of death? Lu Muting's angular face was filled with ridicule. If the kingdom and family were all gone, as the deputy commander of the army, he definitely wouldn't continue to live. Humph, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The large man snorted coldly and instructed the 3 sword monarchs in black, take the heads of the 2 of them and hang them on the top of the city wall when this king invades the city. Let that old man Lu Zhantian appreciate his grandson's head. His voice was bloodthirsty and excited, as if he had already seen Lu Zhantian and Lu Mo's utter pain and heartbreak. Brother Mu Shi, I'll lure them away, you leave first. Lu Muting wiped the blood on his face with his hand, gasping as he approached the young man next to him and said. Lu Muzai's eyes revealed a bit of dejection and desolation. Muting, well, live and die together. I won't run away. Go back and tell grandfather the situation here and let them make preparations early, otherwise it'll be too late when Paluo Kingdom troops arrive at the imperial capital. Lu Muting said urgently. If anyone's to leave, it's you. I'll resist them for a while, you take the opportunity to go. Lu Mu, she said through gritted teeth. Kiki. One of the leaders of the 3 men in black burst out laughing strangely, you 2 boys, don't make useless struggles. The 3 of us have had enough fun. You will all die. None of you should think of running away. Kiki. The other two also laughed weirdly, then immediately separated and surrounded them from three sides. Among them, the leader's eyes were scarlet. He concentrated the power from the other two, poured all the black elemental energy into the long sword in his hand, and waved heavily towards the two of them. A huge black sword light rose up into the sky, with a pressuring energy that would be difficult for even a sword sovereign to resist. It fell down on top of the two of them after fainting in midair. No! General! The Yanzhou Kingdom soldiers standing on the city wall roared one after another, with lament in their voices. Was their general going to be killed like this? Was their kingdom about to be trampled by an enemy kingdom? Lu Muting and Lu Muxi were both seriously injured. Seeing the black sword light falling, they couldn't escape and could only close their eyes in despair and wait for death to arrive. Go die. Suddenly, an ethereal and clear female voice penetrated the clouds and fell with a strong pressure, as if with dissatisfied anger that could destroy this world. Chapter 332, A Visual Feast. Lu Mu Yan was originally planning to bypass the city and set up a teleportation array closer to the border, but halfway through the journey, an indescribable palpitation lingered in her heart. That kind of feeling was very special, not because she would be in danger herself, but it was brought upon by a close person, and the only person who had that sort of intuitive feeling with her was Lu Muting. So she hurried towards the city, and when she approached, she heard the sound of the horn. That ominous feeling only grew worse. When Bing Ji hovered over the city, she looked down and saw that the entire city was shrouded in grief and anger. Outside the city, two men in white armor were not only besieged by three sword monarchs in black, but the leader also used a combined sword skill. That sword skill was something that even an ordinary initial phase sword sovereign would definitely be left injured by when encountered, not to mention that the targets were only two severely injured middle phase sword monarchs. And when Lu Mu Yan's gaze landed on that resolute face that appeared similar to hers, her heart trembled violently. Seeing that the men in black launched their strongest blow, the black sword aura landing above Lu Muting's head, her eyes turned scarlet, and she roared angrily. Immediately, a huge golden sword light fell at the speed of thunder, passing through the clouds, instantly annihilating the black sword light. Lu Muting and Lu Muxi felt that the killing intent suddenly disappear when the sword was about to reach their foreheads. When they opened their eyes, they saw the golden sword light annihilating the black sword shadow. Then, countless orange fire lotuses floated out from the beyond clouds. They splashed and dyed the entire blue sky in orange-red, dazzling, and colorful. At this time, whether it was the soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom standing on the city wall, or the enemy troops of Paluo Kingdom, they all looked up and stared at the falling fire lotuses. Be careful. The leading pupils of the black-clothed sword monarch who was besieging the two constricted and a shadow of death quickly enveloped him. He only shouted those words before he was enveloped in blossoming orange lotus flowers. Ah! 3 shrill screams sounded in the air. Everyone's scalp was numb, and when they looked up, they saw that wherever the gorgeous, extravagant lotuses passed, except for Lu Muting and Lu Muxi, everything turned to ashes, paying homage to the blossoming of the lotuses. Lu Mu Yan stood on Bing Ji, waved her sleeves, and a soft wind roared out. The wind blew through the lotuses, and after a few whirls, the petals detached from the stamen, swaying as they fell down in the direction of Paluo Kingdom. The floral rain-like landscape formed a beautiful scenery. What's this? The soldiers of Paluo Kingdom looked at the colorful falling fire lotus petals in a stunned manner and were buried in the rain of flowers before they could even be shocked. The left King Luo and the 3 men in black at peak phase sword monarch reacted quickly, wielding their defensive magic tools to quickly avoid the petals. However, they were all still affected, and also shrieked, but they didn't die and were only burned by the petals. Who? Just who is it? The left King Luo took out his long sword with a ferocious expression and quickly chopped off his left arm, which had been stained with petals, and shouted piercingly, "If you dare sneak attack, you dare appear." Who is it? Humph. With a cold huff, a huge, cyan blue ice bird flew down from the clouds and a peerless and elegant, purple-clothed woman stood atop of him. That's an Ice Swan. A sword monarch beside left King Luo also cut off one of his arms, looking at the sudden appearance of the one person, one bird with a grim expression. The left King Luo was shocked, and his tones sounded as if he was grinding his teeth. That's Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Ting, who was standing mid-air, looked at the light purple figure with a consonant heart. The anger and distress in her eyes were evident, and he hooked the corners of his lips up, his voice warm. Little sister. Come and read on our website Wuxia World Site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen jumped off Bing Ji and landed beside the two of them. She supported the wobbling two and brought them back to the city wall. Big brother. Lu Mu Yen quickly checked Lu Mu Ting's body and was relieved to find that there was no life-threatening injury except for excessive bleeding and some internal injuries. Him appearing to be covered in blood made her almost suffocate, and her concern caused her to feel slightly chaotic. Little sister, I'm fine. Lu Mu Ting hadn't seen Lu Mu Yen for a long time, and regardless of the blood on his body, he reached out to hug her. Little sister's thinner. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him angrily. You almost died, do you know? Why didn't you know to escape? She believed that it was still possible to escape from the three sword monarchs with her elder brother's abilities. He still had the teleportation talisman she gave him. Well, isn't it that little sister came down like a deity to save your elder brother? Lu Mu Ting's resolute face was filled with soft colors, then it was replaced by a touch of firmness. I was sent by grandfather to guard this city, so naturally I live and die with the city, the soldiers, and the citizens. I've already put my life and death aside, so how can I escape? Lu Mu Yen sighed and didn't know what to say. She was actually cold by nature and only paid attention to the people she cared about. Now that she heard his passionate remarks, she couldn't help but be moved. Are you Mu Yen? The young man standing beside the two suddenly spat out a few words uncertainly. Earlier, Lu Mu Yen was too worried about Lu Mu Ting, so she temporarily ignored this paternal elder cousin brother. With a dignified appearance, there was a soldier's perseverance in his bones, which quickly overlapped with a person in her mind. Big brother Mu Shi. She still attached great importance to these relatives who once took care of her. You're actually really Mu Yen. Lu Mu Shi put away the surprise in his eyes, reached out and patted Lu Mu Yen's head like he did when he was younger. Not only is the little girl more and more beautiful, but your strength has also opened our eyes. If Lu Mu Yen of the past saw today's scene, she may not have had stage fright, but it was absolutely impossible to have the current momentum. Now she was alluring and stunning, and her whole person glowed with a self-confidence and flamboyant temperament, exceptionally dazzling. It's young miss. It's young miss. A vice-general of a brigade on the city wall suddenly shouted excitedly. They were all the Lu clan soldiers, and had always felt contradicting emotions towards the young miss who turned from trash into a genius. After all, Lu Mu Yen had often lost the face of old general and general. But ever since she participated in the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony, not only did she wash away the name of trash, but she also won the championship, making them proud. Just now, when they watched their two young generals about to be beheaded by the enemy army, they were helpless and felt desolate and desperate. They waited for death to accompany the two young generals, dying to protect the city. Yet who knew that their young miss would arrive like a deity of war, instantly blocking the momentous black sword aura and killing three peak phase sword monarchs. Especially after the visual feast just now of the falling fire lotuses that wiped out most of the enemy sword masters who were approaching the city, their admiration for her was exceptionally high. Mighty young miss. Mighty young miss. Someone took the lead and the soldiers and citizens who had just survived with their lives shouted frantically. Lu Mu Yan's heart was slightly touched. She turned her head and glanced at those eyes of adoration and passion, and trembled again. She came to the battlefield to support only because of her family, and didn't think about other things. But now that she looked at Yan's soldiers and citizens, and their warm eyes and shouts, her deserted heart couldn't help but be cast with some ripples. Then she turned her head and looked at the enemy generals not far away.